Thokozani bokokona bomkhulu lesedi khanya lerato kwako khanda lembube. Oh, let me just bring my speaker up. And today we're doing the second part of Ancestral Money. It has me in my fields. I hope today we're going to talk, have a bit of an interaction with that. Let me see if I can help you guys with money blockages. I've been saying I'm going to start my Seat of the Self series. Haven't gotten to it. I'm so tired. I'm always tired. For those who want to book readings from next Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm available. Okay. So let's read the Bible, pray, and then we get on to it. Lebitso la ntate la mra le mohelang, amen. Ke tla rorisa lebitso la Modimo ka sefela. Ke le phafe ka teboho. Hona ho tla kgahlisa morena. Ho feta hlabelo sa dipowana. Sa powana tse dinaka. Powana tse di kgolana. Ba aisehang ba tla bona ba thabe. Lona ba batlang Modimo betang dipelo. Morena utlwa mofutsana. Ha kgese batho ba hae ba ditlamong. Amen. This is Psalm 69, verse 31 to 34. It's a very popular psalm, it seems, amongst my ancestors because I keep opening it up. Let's pray. Tata rona magodimong, lebitso la hao le haletswe ho tle moswa wa hao. Thato etse lefatsheng jwalo ka e tswa lehodimong. O re fe kajeno bo bo lekane ba tsatsing le leng. O re tshwarele melato ya rona jwalo ka o re tshwarela ba re sitelwang. O se re se moleko wa merelwane ho ye mobe. Hobane mmuso ko hao le matla le kganye le kgale jwalo ka o sa feleng. Amen. Amen. Okay, Ancestral Money, part 2. This light is just getting in the way. My eyes are just glowing like they shouldn't. So the last part, we spoke about how these altars at Ancestral Money began, right? We spoke about it from a maternal or from a woman's perspective, what your great-great-grandmother would have done and how that affects you guys today. Right. So today I want to speak about her husband, the masculine side, the msamo that has been set down, the msamo that has been subdued, right? Because a lot of us are affected by that msamo, whether we like it or not. And it's a big part of Ancestral Money. It's Ancestral Money applied. That's what a masculine spirit is for. That's what your mkulus are for. Your mkulus are there to help you apply your divine feminine energy, right? And abumkulu are there to help you apply the spiritual information, right? To make it into tangible paper money, right? That's what they are there for. So, in the previous analogy that I made, your great-grandmother now has made an agreement with an entity, right, to give herself some peace, right, because her husband is abusive, whatever the case, right? Entity agrees. Entity, normally agreements are made with some form of blood offering, right? Chickens, goat, whatever the case, right? Now, what happens on her husband's side? I spoke about it briefly the last time. If the husband is coming from a rainmaker's background, right? Because that background is the original father, the original Mundau, right? Of all Southern Africa, West Central and Southern Africa, right? That's what makes rainmakers so important. Right? Masculine rainmakers are essentially like a twin flame aspect of the feminine Queen Mojaji, right? Rainmakers were not initially men per se, but it was men who applied rainmaker spirits through traditional healing, right? So this man now has been subdued. His msamo has been subdued. It's been sort of oppressed. Let's call it that way, right? And this is where now, this is to tame down his behavior and his abusiveness. But the man himself was abusive to begin with because there was an ongoing altar on his side of the family. There was an ongoing altar that had turned demonic. There was a man on this man's side of the family, right, who managed to gain power status through making also a deity agreement, right? Whether you guys want to call that deity your ancestors, because a lot of our ancestors, they work with deities, they work with energies, right? So this man's grandfather, forefather, already made an agreement with a particular deity. Now, this deity or this agreement could have been an agreement for this man to have money, right? Or could have been an agreement for this man to have multiple, to expand. Normally, a man would need to make a deity agreement or create an altar to a deity, summoning, channeling a deity for the purpose of provision, right? So this would have been now a great-grandfather, maybe who was coming from a nomadic family, or was a great-grandfather who had his kingship, his kingdom or his heirlooms, his right of being a king taken away from him, and he had to flee his home country, for fear of death. We know about that story. It happens so much in African history, right? And as a way of survival, as he's moved out of his home, whether he has escaped or his mother has helped him escape, or his father's, death, whatever the case, right? He's needed to escape. And in the new land that this forefather finds himself, he now needs to make an offering to Badimu Bagage, his original ancestors that wanted him to be the king, that wanted him to have the wealth, that wanted him to have the whatever that was already in the bloodline, right? But now he makes that offering to the deity, right? And he manages to survive in a new land, right? Marries a woman or two or three, because now he's got his money. Now, that Nsamo was perfectly functional, right? That deity was reawakened, or that contract was reawakened, so that that deity can give to your great-grandmother's husband's forefathers' people, right? The agreement was made. Now, what a man's responsibility is towards that summoning of a deity, because that deity works, the deities of money function very well through men, right? They function very well through men. Now, if this man's great-grandfather had more than one wife and started to treat some of them badly, right? Now the deity itself, especially when confronted with the wife that's been treated badly, the deity now, that Msamo, the altar now becomes split, right? Because that man, that forefather of the husband, he made an offering for the wealth to come in, right? And that deity will continue to give wealth, right? Because now this offering is reawakened through what we call tradition, right? What we guys call our tradition is like a constant renewal of certain contracts that our forefathers and foremothers had with certain deities, right? So this man, the moment he has more than one wife and he ill-treats whichever one of his wives, that is excluded from the initial contract with the deity. The deity said, I will give you money to flourish in your new land, right? And this was a deity that's been coming from the same man's maternal and paternal ancestry coming together, right? This is a protective measure to keep their bohosi alive, their kingdom alive, and their wealth. Now, the moment this man has more than one wife, and he treats whichever one of those wives in a way that is incorrect, then that is outside of the scope of the deity. The wife, one of the wives, the one who's being ill-treated badly, the deities from her bloodline, they start to come in and corrupt. They start to come in and corrupt that original agreement. So now that deity, that entity, call it whatever you want to call it, God, demon, whatever, right? That consciousness now is going to be corrupt because its mandate was to make provision, financial provision, right? And to give this man wisdom to be able to provide and know his crops and expand on his land and all of that. Now, one of his wives' energies, which is not essentially, or it's not meant to be, unless if one of the wives' grandmothers did what his wife, what this great-grandmother of yours now is doing. The wives' entities, ancestors, they interfere and they bring in new elements to that deity. And that deity becomes corrupt, right? That deity becomes corrupt. How? The children of the wife that was ill-treated obviously only know bad treatment by watching their mother being ill-treated, right? So their father, because he doesn't love their mother or does not treat their mother well, extends that to the children, right? And if these are boy children, they will have only a sense of reverence, but a deep resentment for their father. And those boy children will even start to perceive the deity that their father made offerings to as demonic. Why? Their mother's ancestral energies have now corrupted them. Some is corrupt, right? So now these boy children are experiencing abuse. This is now your grandfather, right? Incredibly intuitive because of that initial provider deity that was summoned, right? Or able to provide, have some money. But now there's his mother's ancestry deity that is corrupt, that has corrupted everything. So now your grandfather becomes an abusive or a narcissistic man, right? Who can function, who can make money, who can have a regular job. He just won't be rich like his father was, right? But now he's a narcissist. Now he is his father. He's the perpetrator. And so it goes on to your great-grandmother's husband. So that's how your great-grandmother's husband became abusive to begin with. It means then that he is what he is because his forefathers did to his foremothers exactly what he is doing to his wife. Right? So on the one end, your great-grandmother is very smart because she's putting an end to a cycle, right, of a provider deity, that side, right, by subduing or subjudicating her husband's msamo. But at the same time now, because she's elevating her own msamo, how she treats her children matters. We spoke about that. So now that her husband's msamo has been subdued, this man and that deity, the corrupt one, are now under the control of your great-grandmother. And that is why the two deities on that side, even though they've been subdued, they try to find their way through boy children. Until one of the boys, right, great-grandmother's sons, decides to make an ancestral offering to his now jisitwed father's ancestors, right, to restore peace. Because that's where the chaos comes from. That's why great-grandmother's sons are drunkards. And that's why great-grandmother's husband was a psycho to begin with. Unless one of these boys makes a blood offering of peace, this will be a sheep, right, to appease that paternal great-grandmother's deity that is angered, and maybe a goat if that man is, let's say, Zulu, right? Or it'll be two sheep, or it'll be two goats of different colors. That is unlikely, but it does happen, right? But let's say they don't do that, the boy children. Then because their father's msamo has been subjudicated, they will become alcoholics. They will struggle with commitment. They will move from women to women. It's like these men become feminine. They become like abused women, right? They will move from woman to woman and go having like a bipolar disorder. One moment they are sweet and loving when they are sober, and then they get drunk and they're another animal, right? And because of this, of the original corruption of their paternal msamo, now another element now of a feminine that is overruling them, although they are boys, meaning next heirs, the next kings, right? Which is why that paternal deity was summoned to begin with, to protect the masculine provider, right? To protect the provider energy. Now these men, the malumes, cannot be that. They can't be providers. They will have incredible wisdom to give for their sisters or their nieces' affairs, rather. They will not be able to compete with the Asbaris. The Asbaris come in almost as a father figure. And the father of the house, your great-grandfather, is subjudicated. So the sisters marry either, depending on how their mother treats them, men that they will control if their mother treated them well, right? Or men that will love them truly, because now these women will become sex magicians. Or if their mom treated them bad, then their sexual magic will actually work against them, and they will marry men that are like their father, useless, abusive, and worse. Right? So these men, your malumas, they will keep on coming down that, and they will have children with different women. They will have children with different women. They will cheat. They will not finish malobolo for their wives. They will not have a sense of responsibility. Now, the point is, why are these malumes, your great-grandmother and great-grandfather's boys, left to be like this? Great-grandmother is now the man of the house. She can choose to be a feminine man of the house, where she now chooses to teach her children as a mother still. Or she can choose to be a toxic masculine, where she's an angry mom. Right? But regardless of the case, what she would need to do is intervene on her sons' lives, remembering the contract that she has made, right? And normally, great-grandmom doesn't. She pretends like it doesn't matter. Or maybe she doesn't really know that what is happening with her sons are like the universe's way, of the ancestral world's way of balancing itself out. Right? She's got to see the evidence of her decisions there and then. If her husband was coming from a rainmaker bloodline, then these boys are going to be highly, highly toxic, highly manipulative, highly, highly abusive, right? They will become very abusive. If this man was coming from a rainmaker's bloodline, these are the men that will sexually assault their nieces, their sisters. They will sexually assault any woman within the family, right? These are the men that will carry on an incest. And that is the real reason why you guys as ancestors don't talk about rape and how to heal it. As healers, we can give you guys traditional elements, traditional medicine, whatever, to heal rape in your life and the impact of it. But we don't quite understand it because we're not looking at the deities that have been summoned and the history of the family, right? Where there is incest or rape in the family, this is a big sign that the two people who initially got married, great-grandmother and great-grandfather, they both have made decisions by summoning entities that at the end of the day, they did not follow the rules to, right? And I'm not going to lie to you guys. African ancestors do work with deities. Badimo Balana will never tell you this, right? Because they don't want you guys to worship deities. Badimo don't worship deities. Deities are like a form of transport for them to do things, right? So that is why with Africans or African spirituality, there isn't a very clear sign of what we believe in. Because Badimo don't actually see a higher power as an infinite power that sits alone. To them, a higher power is an energy with which each bloodline, each family connects with different consciousnesses of that higher power, right? And makes blood offerings, right? Covenants with that higher power to be able to achieve whatever agenda that they want to achieve in their bloodline, right? So now, Bomalume, great-granddad and great-grandmother's boys, toxic. If their mom was a toxic masculine, then they will become like acid, very narcissistic, corrosive, abusive, right? And not only will they abuse and sexually assault the women in the family, whichever women in the family that is not married. Remember we spoke about how now great-grandmother's contractual agreement does mean that her msamo is higher, so the feminine in her means that it becomes like an autonomous type of god. Let's call it that way. It's a feminine god that she summoned, right? That she channeled. Now, the father god becomes a rapist god. The father god, according to the Msamo, the Mkulu's Msamo that's been subdued, becomes a feminine god, becomes a god in his feelings, becomes a god who cannot provide, right? So because that god cannot provide, then he becomes a narcissist because he needs to make some other way to justify his quote-unquote very imbalanced masculinity, right? He needs to do that. And that's where you will see great-grandfathers' children, boy children, becoming overly judgmental, even on their sisters. If their sisters have children now without being married, because we spoke about that, then these malumes are very prejudicial, almost competing with their sisters' children, and they don't know why, right? It's because at a spiritual level, they know that their mom, the feminine energy, supersedes them. So if their sisters have got boy children, those boy children are still boy children born of the feminine Msamo and not the masculine one. and not the masculine one, because those boy children, their sisters, the Malume's sisters, had babies with other men, right? And so these Malumes project their inadequacy on these children. If they are boy children, it makes it even worse. They get angry with them. So a lot of that happens when now Malumes do that with the boy children. If their sister has a girl child, Malume wants to corrupt that feminine Msamo to begin with and will assault her, sexually assault her. What is the spiritual benefit of doing that? This is, remember now, a bloodline that has been forced to be shut down, right? And it is trying to find those deities are subdued, not dead. But those deities were corrupt to begin with, right? There was an imbalance of masculine and feminine energy. And these deities now, this deity is trying to reinvent itself to come out of what it believes to be your great-grandmother's oppressive feminine msamo. So what does it do? It tries to destroy girl children, because girl children are all the heirs, the heir children to great-grandmother's official deity. So these Malumes will try to do that. Take these girls, their sisters' children's luck, right? Take their sisters' boy children's luck by breaking them emotionally, right? And making them do stupid things. So that these boys, especially because now their moms are not married, these are the boys that remain in this msamo. They're not going anywhere, right? And so the Malumes now try to do this. This is often why they lack the integrity, right, on how to assist their sisters' children. And this is also why the Malumes will respect their sister's husband, or will respect their sister only when the sister has a very masculine and normally highly toxic masculine in her life. Because like attracts like. Right? So I'm going to take a break because I don't want to run away with my thoughts. Okay. I want to come back, regroup. So we bring this down to the boys today. How does this affect the men today? Right? And then we're going to touch a little bit about rape, sexual assault, and where the root of it is, especially when it's in the family. All right. So I'm going to take a 1-minute break just to gather my thoughts, because I can hear myself. I'm repeating myself. All right, Thokozani, I'm just getting too much information about this now. All of my ancestors are talking at once. So what Gugu just said to me is this. For great-granddad's msamo to be balanced is if the children of great-grandmother who made the original agreement to Lisa, her husband, if the boy children decide to keep making offerings edlozini, right? Or even if her husband continues to make offerings kubadimu, to his deities, right? If he does that, even though he's coming from a corrupt msamo, it won't alleviate the fact that ujisitswe. No, it won't, right? However, it's going to give his sons a very clear sense of direction on what to do, right? Typically, great-grandmom will not be very supportive of this because at a spiritual level and at the msamo that she's brought up is going to insist that no offerings should be made to this man's family. Because offerings made means that bloodshed means that the contract can be broken if enough offerings or a strong enough energetic signal can be given by the ancestors of Mkulu, right? Typically, they are not going to have the kind of power to give Mkulu the right offering. So whereas Mkulu needs to offer a goat to be completely removed from his wife's sidliso, right? Maybe a brown goat, because a brown goat is like a black goat, right? Which would completely eradicate great-grandmother's msamo. Mkulu will, if he remembers how he grew up. And that's if he can supersede his own past traumas with his abusive dad and abusive grandfather who had many wives. If he can remember the offerings that were being made by his forefathers, even if the offerings are not that goat, even if they are a sheep, then from the corrupt msamo, an element, whether the feminine or the masculine part of the corrupt msamo, will come and bless the children, the boy children, right? And then the boy children will have a quote unquote spiritual gift, right? It won't happen immediately, right? If the boy children, the children to great-grandmama and great-granddad make offerings, then even their sense of wanting to abuse and break down that feminine msamo, that instinctual draw to it, it won't be there, right? They might still be alcoholics, they might still be, non-committal, but they will at least choose women that have got stable msamos in their homes, right? And have children with women that are coming from strong masculine msamos, right? So their children, boys or girls, will eventually get blessed, right? If the boys to great-grandmother and great-granddad decide to continue, right? But great-grandmother is going to be very clever on this one. And even if she doesn't know that's the rule of a deity offering, right? That deity that she made an agreement with will let her know, right? And that's where you find your great-grandmother saying, we don't slaughter blood. She's making sure that her feminine msamo stays in place, right? And listen, if that is the case and great-grandmother loves her girl children, right? Then her girl children, her daughters, will look after their brothers, even if the brothers are useless. It doesn't matter. But if she doesn't and she treats them like a toxic masculine, then we got a problem, because now even the deity that she summoned, now she's converting into a demon, right? So that's if Umkhulu decides to keep on making the offerings, then he will still be lizard, will still be subdued because he won't make the right offerings, right? But he will have boy children who will have children, girls and boys, that are balanced, right? And that will go off and go to school and that, no problem. And they will do well, right? Normally, the third generation, so this would be Mkulu's sons, their children will have some kind of a spiritual calling. Why? To be able to balance out those deities on their paternal side. The masculine Msamo that was subdued to begin with. To balance that out first, because it was corrupted by a feminine Msamo, right? Balance that and then come back to their mother's feminine deity that is a giver. That is a giver deity that gives money, right? But if the Mkulus do not do that, because Gogo doesn't want that, then they are doomed. Then the Malume's children are doomed. And Gogo, depending on her heart, she will keep quiet when she watches her sons try to eradicate her children. If she's got a good heart, she will harbor her children and sort of hoard them, keep them in her house, take care of them despite their toxicities and their alcoholic ways. No problem. She will look after them. Let them come and go as they please, right? She won't be she won't even like abatetise. She won't, because she would have known. She knows at an intuitive level the sacrifice that she made, right? And then she will protect her girl children because they will further on this deity. But now let's continue. Let's say the Mkulus, the Malumes, don't make the offerings. Malume, by the time he has his own children with the numerous women, he has sexually assaulted and tried to steal the destiny of the feminine Msamo children. This is his sister's daughters or his sister's sons, right? He would have tried to compete with them if they are sons and tried to sexually assault them if they are daughters, right? He will only respect a man who is toxic, who marries his sister. And that also goes with Gogo's heart and how Gogo raised her children, right? And now let it come down. Let it come down. That being done, so this Malume now would be your grandmother's Malume. This is your grandmother's Malume. Meaning your grandmother has been sexually assaulted by her Malume because of that initial agreement. So not only is your grandmother suffering heartbreak from her hard mom, but now her Malume sexually assaults her and the rest of her family. Right? Your grandmother keeps on moving, gets married to a toxic man, so everything goes back to great grandmother's Msamo. Right? That Malume will himself try to sabotage your grandmother's children. It's very interesting that when a feminine Msamo is raised, no matter, and I think I said this last week, when a feminine Msamo is raised, the girl children will be very attractive. They will be lookers, right? They will have a siren-like energy, right? Depending on that particular clan's ideologies of attraction. So if Kimutswana, she will have pear-shaped, significantly pear-shaped body, flat stomach. The maternal deity, the maternal Msamo, will further its agenda in making its children, its women children, as attractive as possible. Right? With Ndebele people, face card is number one. Because Ndebele people are naledi shapa generally. Right? Face card is number one. So where you see attraction, where you see obviously beautiful features, whether it's the body or legs or whatever, normally that's where you get a sign of a feminine msamo that's prevalent, right? So Malume has tried to do this. This is your grandmother's Malume, has assaulted your grandmother growing up, right? So your grandmother's got a very big distrust towards men. Grandmother will not get married, but anyway, that coincides with her grandmother's original deity agreement. She was never meant to. This is where you guys have mermaid spirits coming from. Mermaid spirits are a deity collaboration from a feminine msam, right? She won't have a husband or whatever the case. That was always the agreement. That was always going to be the agreement, right? Granny now has a heart that is like rocks, right? Not only now is she more likely to be in her masculine, right? But now grandmother will subject her boy children to praise, and granny will watch her boy children mistreat other women's daughters. Why? It is Malume's msamo, Mkulu's msamo, that had been subdued and now that is expressing itself in a toxic way. And your grandmother is having heat from her mom this side, right? And this side, her Malumes have been sexually assaulting her. Grandmommy will subject her boy sons. She will promote them. Not verbally. She will cover their tracks. How many times have you guys gone to rape cases go court? Rapists always have a mom or a granny that's there to support them. This woman has been raped. She's been sexually assaulted. And she feels that she made it through the silence. So you being raped by her son, what is your fucking problem? Now it becomes another thing, right? If granny doesn't have boys that are like that will outwardly show their toxicity, right? Then granny's sons will also now become feminine. And this is normally one or two of the sons that she was very close to. He will become feminine. He will not be able to stand up for himself. He will not be able to have his own job. He will need to find a woman who's got a strong character. And granny will hate that woman, because that woman replaces her. And according to granny, she has suffered with your uncle, right? Whilst putting your mom in a very awkward position, whilst making sure that your mom is indirectly being prostituted out. If your mom has problems in her marriage, granny will tell her to grin and bear it. Whereas when her son, your uncle, is the problematic one, granny will still tell the wife to grin and bear it. If the wife is a weak one. If the wife is in her masculine energy, your uncle's wife, granny will hate her. Granny will make sure that all the traditional rites of welcoming her in the family are not done. So you guys now are starting to understand why you guys as mothers were not officially welcomed into your father's msamos. Right? Granny will make sure that this woman, if she is good for him, if she is going to emancipate him outside of her control, that woman with her bloodline, which is normally a very strong feminine a very positive feminine deity bloodline, that woman will be ostracized. Granny will work overtime in the background to make sure that that marriage ends, to make sure that that woman is broken to the point that she's got no life. And as she does that, she forces her children, her daughters, your mom, into a toxic marriage, and she forces them to stay. Now, that being said, with Mkulu's bloodline being subdued, Granny will seek validation. Sorry, my battery is low. Granny will seek validation from a man, and your mother's toxic husband is that very same validation. Your mom's toxic husband is that validation. Right? Because Granny only knows toxicity. She will love this Mokhonyana and hold him on a pedestal because energetically, he is exactly like the rapist uncle. Right? And chances are your mom will marry a man who also doesn't practice tradition. Why? Right? That feminine Msamo is still ruling. So that makes your grandmother now a very powerful matriarch. She's a coming together of complete pure light and pure evil, both at once. Right? She doesn't want tradition done this side, but she wants tradition done that side. She wants to tlabela for her Mokhonyana because he's a toxic man, just like her rapist uncle. She wants to make sure that he is part of the family because he is familiar. The spirits that run in him are so familiar to her. So she's living through your mom. She's finding validation through your mom's toxic marriage. It's like she's married there too. But with your uncles, her own sons, if they marry good women, she will not accept them. She won't marry them, do the traditional rites for them. Absolutely not. Why? Granny is now she's requiring large amounts of male attention, toxic male attention. Toxic male attention. Right? So your uncle living with his wife who's so good, Granny will run down that relationship and make sure that it ends. Okay. Brings it down to you guys. If you are Malume's son, your father has done so many wrong things to your mom. Not because he's a bad man, but because he's in his feminine energy. He's a weakling. His mom ran his life. Your father will leave your mother's life because his mother is in the background orchestrating that your spiritually powerful mom gets out of the way so that she can continue to hoard her son. Your father leaves you, right, and leaves your mom eventually because he is having a war between his mother and his wife. And you guys look at your fathers, if your father is the Malume in this instance, like a deadbeat dad. Yes, he does get punishment. And I'm going to explain to you now the blessing, masculine blessing of Badimu, a masculine Msamo, how it's supposed to work, right? And signs. Your father will leave you because he's a weakling. You will have resentment issues towards him, right? You will have witnessed him try to abuse your mom, because he's going to try, because his mother is going to tell him to put your mom in order by beating your mom. And because your mom has got such a strong character, she will leave. If she doesn't leave, not only does Granny not do the traditional rites, making sure that she's not part of the msamo, right? But Granny then ukoropaka your mom, making sure that your mom's life amounts to nothing, right? And that's what it boils down to. If your mom decides to stay because she's coming from a powerful feminine bloodline, then Granny would have won, because she has her son, and your mom, who was supposed to become her better replacement, has now also been subjudicated under a toxic mother-in-law, right? Regardless, your father will neglect you as a boy child. You watch him treat his wife like shit, and if your mom decided to stay, all she will have will be memories of the quote-unquote loving man he was. She will only have that. Your mom will have only that. Your father will most definitely die before your mother, because your mother has a pure, positive, feminine entity, Nsamo, from her own bloodline that will fight for her. It doesn't matter how long, it will fight for her, right? Your father will die eventually. He will. Why? Because his mother is puppeting and keeping herself alive through harnessing his energy. Your father is no longer just her son. He is male attention. The type of male attention that she got from her sexually abusive uncle. Right? So this is the psychology of oppression. It's not that your granny wishes for that, but she will have a very strong bond to your dad, the uncle. She will have a very strong bond. She'll be fiercely protective over him, like he's her husband. And on the other side, your mom is married to a toxic man, and Kuku is married through your mom into that toxicity. Right? So it's like Kuku is married, but she doesn't have to endure the beatings. Your mom does it on her behalf. So your father will leave you regardless when you're a man. Or your malume dead. You're a man, father leaves. Whether it's through death or what, makes no difference. Right? And only when he is dead does he get the full scope of the initial contracts. And that's why you guys find your deadbeat dads, right? That's why you guys find your deadbeat dads annoying you guys after they die. That's why. He might come to you in dreams, to tell you to do something for your mom. Or you might come and see Lerato, who says, your mother's ancestors say they want nothing to do with your dad. You make an offering to them. What are your mother's ancestors trying to do? They're trying to elevate that feminine Samo again so that you can get your financial blessing. Because that's what you need. Your father's life and death was riddled, around a spiritual agreement that was made 4 generations away from him. From you, rather. Literally. Right? And that's where your father, when he chooses to give you a gift, he will be at the waters. He'll be at the waters. Because he acknowledges that he destroyed your mother's life. However, he knows also that it was the inevitability of how things became. Right? So let's say you're not Malume's son or daughter, and you are Mamogulu Mangwane's son or daughter. Remember, Granny has orchestrated that your mom stay in a toxic marriage. So you are more likely to be a divine feminine, because You're a girl child. That feminine Samo still stays. It stays. Except you're going to have the beautiful features. You're going to have that sense of whatever beauty, but it's going to be squandered up by lousy, dodgy men. Men who are going to use and abuse you, just like your toxic dad did to your mom, with your grandmother's consent. You will trail around the streets. And if it's not your own physical malume who will rape you, some other man will. Some other man will. Because with Kuku's control over your mom's life, right, comes the sort of bringing forward the command of everything that she was. That's why she's so vested in this marriage. Because this marriage is like her in the marriage. So you, Wana Mamukhulu Mangwane, will get sexually assaulted. Sometimes you guys think it's voluntary. It's not. Where you meet a deadbeat old man who gives you a little bit of money, who's got a filthy energy, who's got an energy like that malume, who sleeps with you when you're in school. When you got that filthy energy. That is still rape. Right? Because this man is not saying he's marrying you. This man is using you. This man is washing his energy with you. So these girls that we will see being used by foreigners, Baba Resadilo, oh, the story is very deep. These girls that we want to call prostitutes, oh, the story is very deep. They may show to us, right, that it's a choice. No, it's not. It was an inevitability. It's an inevitability. Because their moms are sucked into toxic cycles where your mom's husband is the abuser and your mom's mom is the one you go to. And she silently harnesses energy by watching you go through pain. And that's why she helps cry with you and sends you back to the abuser. You swing like a pendulum between the two of them. Well, your mom does. Before you know it, you, her daughter, you're going to be sexually assaulted, whether it's voluntarily or it's within the family. It will continue to happen, right? If you, quote unquote, are smart enough, you will trade sex for money. You think you're smart enough, you think you're making money. All you're doing is collecting more dirt, right? But there is nothing else for you to do because this is a contract that's 4 years behind you. And that's the powerful thing about deities. That's the hard thing about deities. And that's why when you guys are praying sometimes and you're asking your Father in heaven for help, that's why asalitus. That's why, quote unquote, our Father doesn't help you, right? Because our Father may be that deity, that initial consciousness, right? It is beneficial, right, to make prayers to that fourth generation, our Father deity. That's why I said you guys sometimes can call these deities God, right? That's a conversation for another day. You can do that, but you would need to pray religiously because you're talking to your great-great-grandmother's deity, the one that she made the agreement with. And that great-grandmother's deity, for it to be purified, you need to make candle lighting, prayers religiously. Why? Because it has been corrupted over 4 generations. If you think about one person's life, in a year, it's 365 days. So you owe it to yourself as a boy or a girl child to that type of a contract to make prayers every day. You owe it to yourself, whether you are the boy child of the Mkulu whose Msamo was subdued. It was subdued, but it was subdued by feminine energy, which is a provider, which is a not a provider, which is the energy of money and creativity. Right? So you can make the Our Father prayers to that deity, to the original contract energy, that it comes back and honors the contract as it was meant to be. That's where you guys' spiritual gifts are coming from. Right? And that is why even when you guys are going through things, and you are trying to go to churches or you're praying to Jesus, that's how that's why Jesus is not involved, right? Let's go into the whole Jesus thing and why his name is not applicable in this sense. I know I'm going to offend a lot of you guys. Let me tell you why. Jesus Christ lived in his divine masculinity by creating miracles. Right? He not only became a carpenter according to his father, learned the law according to his father. His father decided to give himself up to Mary's Msamo. Right? The angel that came to see Joseph was the deity, the God of Mary. It was the God of Mary. So that God came to tell Joseph that you don't have a say in this. Good enough, right? And what Jesus quickly did was he went on, learned from Joseph, learned Joseph's ways, becoming a carpenter, right? Joseph still said that they must still follow the Jewish law, no problem. Joseph initiated the census where they had to all go home to Bethlehem. So Joseph was still head of the house, and he knew that his wife's Msamo was prevalent, but he also knew that he needed to aid that Msamo, that he was instrumental, that he hadn't lost his masculinity. Right? So what can we learn about Joseph? Just by how he treats Mary. Just by how he treats Mary. Right? Joseph most definitely had a mom who was a stay-at-home mom, took care of them, and a dad who was some type of a merchant. That part I can tell you. Because he had no problem allowing his wife's Msamo to take over. Joseph already watched his own life, his own parents, right? His mom becoming dedicated, probably being the prayer warrior in the house. And his father going off also probably into carpentry and making money. So Joseph was very much clear on the fact that feminine energy is a progressive energy, is a conduit energy, an energy that connects you to a higher power. He was no stranger to a feminine Msamo, right? And his father as well was also no stranger to a feminine Msamo. Joseph came from a very balanced Msamo. Right? So he allows his wife's Msamo to happen, but he facilitates it. Jesus goes, does training, does things Joseph's way. Joseph tries his best to teach him. Right? Then Jesus from 12 years old, we don't hear anything about him. Right? He probably went to Mary's bloodline. Probably went to Dingakatsako Mary. Right? And went to learn all these things. Right? He comes back. The first thing that Jesus does is denounce Joseph as his father and aligns with God. Who's God in Jesus's case? His mother's God. his mother's God, right? And aligns with the God in heaven, his mother's God. Joseph doesn't have a problem. He's got no problem. He's like, yeah. Why? He's seen this in his life. He just never had the ability to declare it, right? Because Joseph took his father's surname, no problem. But Joseph has seen what his mother's God has done in their home, right? So Jesus comes back and says, listen, my father is in heaven. No problem. No problem. Joseph anataba. He knows what a strong feminine Msamo can do. He knows that. He even knows that a feminine Msamo is a water spirit. He knows this. I can tell you how he knows this, right? Because as part of their tradition, of Joseph's tradition, when Jesus comes back from wherever he went to initiate, being initiated by his mother's God, the same angels that came to visit Joseph to tell him Mary is pregnant, the first thing that happens is that Joseph says, from our paternal law, you need to get a baptism. We're going back to that when a man's msamo has been subdued, it's okay. He stands komitsi. So he basically tells Jesus, Pachamisa mundawa from your father's side too. Right? Which would probably be Joseph's mom and dad. Komitsi, baptism, done. Jesus does the baptism. That's the first thing he does when he comes back. Right? Fast forward, Jesus does all these things. And he keeps on saying to his disciples, if you believe, you will do this and more. If you believe in me, you will do this and more. If you believe in me, you will do this and more. Right? He's not saying believe in what I am doing. Believe like I do. Believe like I do. I'm taking my 21 years of initiation and I'm making it short for 12 of you guys. That you guys can get the point. Right? And what is the point? Whatever I touch, I lift it up to my Father in heaven, my mother's ancestor, to that Msamo. I give it to that Msamo first before I share it with you or anybody else. So my power is coming from my mother's Msamo. No problem. Fast forward, Jesus goes and he's dying. Right? His mom is there. He chooses Mary Magdalene, right, as the balancing act, as the new Mary, to him being the physical representative of Joseph. He again chooses a feminine as one of his silent apostles, right? And yeah, the Bible or religion has taught us that Mary is there as a whole. Makes no difference. I'm going to talk about that just now, right? If you think about biblical scriptures and all women in the Bible were provided for. It's because a feminine msamo requires provision, right? And so he chooses Mary Magdalene as a 13th disciple, a silent one, right? The one who gets to now pachamisa, that feminine energy. Why is that important? Because when he is about to be crucified, his mom, mudimu me wakhache, Mary is there. And Mary Magdalene, the balancing feminine friend, wife, girlfriend, whatever that we want to call her, is also there. He's doing the inverse of what your kuku is doing with Malume and your mom's husband. He's doing the inverse of that. Then he proceeds to die. Joseph is not anywhere in the picture. Because he's done his job, right? He's done his job. So why is Jesus not able to assist you guys with these Msamo contracts? Because right up and until his death, he resolved the Msamos of his own people. And it's so clear. We call him Lion of Judah. Because Judah, of all of the brothers, these are Jacob's sons. Judah was one of Jacob's sons, right? Jacob, who also took Bukhosi Kabutsotsi, but that's a conversation for another day. Judah, of all of the sons, who slept with his daughter-in-law, who harvested energy from his daughter-in-law. Judah kitsotsi in the Bible, the tribe of Judah kitsotsi. And that's why Jesus Christ becomes the Lion of Judah. He closes up, sums up this bloodline of men who harvest energy from women in an unfair way. Right? David's daughter Tamar got raped by one of his sons. Also, David is also from the tribe of Judah. So this tribe of Judah has been having a somewhat problem of men that get provided for, right, from a twisted msamo, somewhere, meaning there's a woman somewhere at the top, right? Probably Rebecca and Boaz, right? And these men, they keep on having sex with their siblings and betraying their own brothers, right? And that is why today, when Jesus Christ died, he was resolving his msamo issues. That's the beginning of his death. That is the purpose of his death as a person, as an individual, right? When he says that those who believe in me, that I've given my blood and my flesh, do this in remembrance of me. Remembrance. He is saying this because, remember, he said, all those who apply what I do will be like me and do even greater things, right? But, and he says, I'm the only beloved son of God. He does not say, you guys there will never be another beloved son of God. No. He is the beloved son of Badimbahai. Bamahai. He is the beloved son of Badimu Bakwabo Mary. And also the beloved son of Badim Bakwabo Joseph. Right? But his God is coming from Mary's msamo. It's from a feminine msamo. Right? So when you guys come, literally these ancestral issues, libitza Jesu, right? Not that abatle go le thusa. For Jesus Christ, or for a Christ consciousness to come and assist you with your bloodline or ancestral issues, two things need to happen. You need to have applied in your own life the works that he applied in his life. Because he says that, he says, those who do what I do, follow in my footsteps, will do what I do and greater. You need to, and he wasn't just doing this because now he was a magician, right? He was doing this because he was amping up his msamo energy. You need to be on that energetic frequency by doing the baptisms, by going to the mountains, by the transfiguration, by the way. The transfiguration, by the way, is a spiritual intervention. The transfiguration is like where your great-grandmother decided to make this msamo and she became a toxic mother, and then one of her grandchildren, which would be your grandmother, decided to take on a spiritual gift. Or decided gore ba kwale skhwama. You guys don't ask yourselves why go kwalwa dikhwama. Right? Somebody then decides to do something. That's the transfiguration of Jesus, right? Where he stands in between Moses, the law, the God of his forefathers, and Elijah, who was not related to them by blood, but was a chosen one. Meaning the new energy, the new spirit, the plans of the future. Transfiguration really sums it down to where Jesus Christ made a complete transformation of even his bloodline msamo. Right? Of his bloodline msamo. It was at that point that the sins of Judah actually got revoked. Because it was only according to the law of Moses, according to Badimu, Mudimu wa Mary, Onabele Mula wa Moshe, right? That Judah was doing the wrong things. So the transfiguration, the changing of him physically. With Elijah, a new sense of what Mary's bloodline or the new combined msamo is going to mean. Why? Because Joseph already knows how powerful a feminine msamo is. Right? And now, when you guys ask Jesus, in the name of Jesus, you better have the energetic understanding and the energetic build-up to be on that frequency. I'm going to tell you guys what even your ancestors won't tell you. Jesus Christ, apparently, he's moved to the highest form of energetic frequency, vibration. He's not the only one there. A lot of your ancestors are on that frequency, right? But he's already said, because of what he's done for his bloodline, he is sitting on that frequency. He's not going to come down for that frequency because you've got problems. You need to meet him at that frequency. Now, because there are problems in your msamo, your ancestors strategically place themselves at different frequencies. That is why you guys will twasa or not. You will have a year with this particular ancestor, and that ancestor transitions. There's another one coming in. You are raising up in frequency. You are becoming the Jesus of your own bloodline. So when you're down at the bottom of the sexual assault and the abuse and all of this, you don't have the right frequency, the right energy to be able to summon the power of Jesus. That power needs a conduit. And you are the one who's requesting. So you are the conduit. Right? And that's why he can't help you. Not that that power or that frequency is not freely available. It is. Right? But firstly, he spoke to the God of Mary. You have got the God of Makubet. No problem. These deities, we can go back to what we want to call the Akashic records. Akashic records is basically, the sum of it is a high frequency energy from which we all come from, that knows everything, that has been everything, is everything, will forever be everything. So that the Akashic records are the beginning. It's like the foundation, it's the definition of Alpha and Omega. So if now from the Akashic records, you're able to pull in the highest flying frequency of your bloodline, then you are going to see that frequency as God. Right? And Jesus Christ has his own frequency of God of his people. Right? That God and the frequency of your ancestors' God, listen, they are at the same frequency. God is a frequency. Right? No problem. So to be able to summon or to harness the concept or the power of Jesus, you need to be at the frequency at which he managed to get to. And he did a 21-year initiation. Right? He did a 21-year initiation. So your ancestors, what they do, just like what I believe happened even with Jesus, that's what he was doing for the 21 years. You strategically at different levels. At level 1, where you are at your worst, right? This is where we're going to tell you as healers, this is at the lowest level, right? We're trying to help you resolve certain basic bondages, things that you can see proof of. Your mom and dad are not married. It's got nothing to do with that, right? It's got nothing to do with that. We are trying to pave the way, the foundation, because remember now, your mom and dad were not married because your great-grandmother called upon that deity, the feminine deity, that actually believes that God is a woman. And so your mother doesn't need a man to marry her. Or your mom is not married because she finally decided to run away from the malume of the house, whose msamo, his deity, his God is basically dead, right? And his God is his mom. So we try to help you guys with this foundation. right? And why is that important? Because at this basic foundation, that deity was summoned as spirit, but it has become more and more and more tangibleized, more affirmed in a dark way. It has been translated into a demonic energy. So because that deity was spirit, but it was the contract was opened using blood. Now, you must get your parents married and what, it's not that. We're trying to break the element of that blood contract and what that deity had evolved itself into over your father's life if your father was the malume. Or over your mother's life if your mom was the mangwane mamogolo was married to the toxic man. This blood, we are undoing the binding of that now deity that's now being converted into a demon. We're starting by doing that. And then a goat. Now, a goat is because now we are forcing your grandmother, whether she's living or not. We are forcing her, kapudi, to cede her power. Pudi means your grandmother's energetic power has been now overridden by the person who's above her, which would be her mom or her grandmother. That's what a pudi means. Right? Kuku can remain with her hard heart. Pudi is forcing the power that your grandmother had over your malume and over your mom. We're forcing that power out of her. Somebody asked earlier on if Kuku becomes a living mundao. Absolutely. Pudi breaks that. Pudi now forces, right, your ancestors to go back to your great-grandmother, the person who made the original agreement with the right intention. With the right intention. Then your great-grandmother becomes the lidlozi. The sheep, it's sheep give a peace offering, give for more. Right? We can keep on doing the sheep where we're now trying to now say to your grandmother's energies or to that demon, no, rest, chief, right? Rest, chief. And you can keep doing the sheep and sheep and sheep, no problem. That's also, if it's blood, the contract was made using blood, the contract can be undone using blood, right? And eventually, then the sheep and other pudis now will be opening your great-grandmother's husband's family. It will normally be sheep for them because they were long subdued. They've been inactive. They haven't been active in a positive way for a long time, right? So that's that. But a goat is to force the closest living ancestor's grip, or to force the evolution of that entity from being demonic to those that it is in close proximity to. You're forcing it out of that state. You're forcing it back into its original state. So then your great-grandmother comes through and is the one who gives you the gift. Because she was the initiator. She was the true matriarch. But she made a couple of mistakes. The nonsense started with her when she embodied a broken masculine spirit. That's where it starts. So she's going to help you now from here on. She's going to get you to help other people, right? Because that's what the agreement with that deity was for. It was for her to help the family. So that deity always wanted well-being, femininity, good things. So as you do this, helping people, you are giving that deity its power. You're giving that God, the God of your family, or the God you believe, God, that is why even the biblical God wants an offering in the Mosaic law. When God keeps on getting offerings, he's becoming more and more and more powerful. Not because he is less powerful, but his energetic version becomes more tangible. God managed to manifest itself into a Jesus Christ because Jesus Christ's bloodline was making so many Mosaic law offerings. God became so able to move out of spirit Akashic record realm and manifest himself into a human being. Because a blood offering forces, it's like it reinforces that initial agreement, that spirit, that deity. You are giving it human form, human life. You are forcing it to come here and work. Right? So that is why there is the scripture, in the beginning was the word. Your great grandmother made the word. And the word was made flesh. She made an offering. And the flesh was made man. That offering becomes what it will become based off of how that deity is demonstrated in the family. Okay. Now let's talk about those who got raped, who get raped. Right? We're going to take a short break. Then we're going to talk about those who get raped by their family members. Right? And who get raped by outside people. We're going to talk about, but I want to mainly focus on family. Right? And what happens to your family members who rape you guys. Right? 2-minute break. As Colleen. Yo, nearly ended the life. Okay. So when I speak about rape, I'm not just talking about the way that it's been defined, legally. This also applies to men, to boys, right? I should really talk about rape when it applies to boys, sodomy, right? Rape is in two parts. There's a physical act, and then there's the spiritual part, right? With the physical act, it also splits into two, right? Rape where it is unconsensual, right? So you get raped against your will, and then rape where you are young and you get lured in by someone much older, who solicits you with money. That type of rape is actually more dangerous because normally the person who's much older is applying an old witchcraft act. It's a wizards who do that, right? Wizards are the ones who do that. The consensual rape, let's say when you're a woman, is essentially a man who's got his burdens from his mzamo, right? He's got the ability, whatever, through money or whatever, and he's using you. Like I'm saying, this is an old witchcraft thing, right? Whenever people, men, need to accumulate their money or to put stability in their financial squama, especially those that have called upon deities that give them money, because like I said, provider deities are more likely to be given to men, right? If that provider deity has been twisted, corrupt, right? Maybe his mom was not treated well by the father, but the father was rich, no matter. Then if you are under 16, that man is using your sexual energy to override his maternal deity that wants to corrupt everything, right? So that type of rape looks consensual, but an innocent, purer energy is being harnessed from you. And why is that rape? Because you're young, emotionally and spiritually you're very open. So your sense of unconditional love is still very much prevalent in you. And to any deity, even any demon, unconditional love is a high value, high frequency offering. That's why when two people are not loving each other and they've got msamo, that's how we ended up talking about ancestral money and how it breaks down and why you guys are broke, right? And that's also why Makhwa are able to keep their heirlooms, right? Because even if abaratani per se, but they've got like a code of conduct with which they try to keep, especially the wealthy families, with which they try to keep their families, right? They make sure that their children marry into rich families because they know that some type of a very similar deity is being called, but that's not the point. Now, what happens when you are raped, forcefully raped by a family member? And why do Badimo say nothing about it? Badimo are aware of that msamo that was brought up and that msamo that was subdued, right? That agreement, those deities, as they evolve based off of your great-grandmother's behavior and eventually your great-grandfather's inability to make decisions. Because if he was still to remember to make offerings to his ancestors and his deity, you guys would be fine, right? So those deities become like an infinity sign or like a circle in a circle. That's why God, even in the Bible, he says it's a circle in a circle. He's trying to tell you guys something. The God of your family is the repetition of all cycles that have been applied. And that's why even God of the Bible needs X number of years for blessings and curses, right? He says he will bless to the 10th generation, those who love, and he will curse to the 4th. That's why he needs time over generations, right? Because that deity, those deities are God, right? Things can only happen with time. So when you get raped by a family member, the God of the bloodline, the deity that was summoned, is like on a free flow in a snowball effect. That cannot be stopped unless someone atwasa, right? So you, the person who got raped, it is a very painful experience, but because of the trauma, you have the most leverage over the ancestors that have been perpetuating or evolving this deity to becoming a demon, because you are their direct descendant, and you are also directly the one who's been harmed by a deity that was meant to uplift you. So it's like the snowball effect, it snowballs onto you. And the rape becomes evidence, becomes the manifestation of a God entity, God energy that was meant to do good, right? But now has been converted or perverted through the bloodlines. The people who have died underneath that covenant can't do anything about that covenant, because that covenant was made here on earth. It was a blood covenant made on earth. So once they die, from your granny, great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother, they can't do anything. They don't have a physical body, right? That thing is like the word made manifest, right? Just like how Jesus Christ was made manifest. He became the Messiah because everybody in his bloodline kept making offerings. So they kept on washing their deity or their God. Now in our bloodlines, we don't do that. We leave this deity to become corrupt, as we say we don't offer blood. So we can't purify that deity and we can't stop it from becoming demonic. We are perpetuating negativity, the negative impacts of our corrupting that deity. Yet we are not washing it or cleansing mabala by making offerings, right? All we're doing is that we are running to a church, right, to escape, to create a false sense of belief, right? We're trying to connect with the true essence of what that deity was by going go kerekeng, right? But then we come back to the horrors of what we've created out of our own deity, out of our own God. So you, the person who gets raped, you become like the big stumbling block. You become the evidence, the proof. You become like the Jesus on the cross, right? Jesus needed to actually get up on the cross to be able to end, right? Because all of Israel, and Israel, by the way, these are descendants of Jacob. He was named Israel. And Jesus was fighting for the Israelites, not the tribe, not the nation. No. He was fighting for Jacob's Israel, because Jacob was his forefather. Right? That's why it says the Jews and the Gentiles. Because even within the Israel are Jews and Gentiles. Jacob was not the only Israelite. Right? But Jacob was named Israel by God. This is like saying Jesus ulanela Batswana, and I am his great-great-grandmother, and my name is Mutswana. So my descendant makes an offering for Batswana. We will think Batswana as a tribe. No. For Batswana, Lerato. For Lerato. Because now, ke nna Batswana. Go na le Batswana the tribe, go na le Batswana nna, my name. So Jesus was making an offering. the death of his life was towards the Israelites of his forefathers, Jacob. And the Gentiles, according to him, were still Israelites, right? But that were not under the bloodline of Jacob, because Jacob is not the only Israelite. I don't know if you guys get that, right? He used the same concept when he raised Lazarus from the dead. Lazarus was a popular name. The right Lazarus, ufile ayemela. Ne ba le bangata bo Lazarus ka mole. Right? Same with the name Mary. She was not the only one. That's why we cannot find out which Mary is really Jesus' mother. Right? Because that was a popular name. But that's not the point. You being raped, your ancestors have lived through this covenant, have done nothing to stop it. They didn't know how to stop it. Right? They watched only after they died the evolution of this deity. They watched it evolve into a demon. And there was nothing they could do because the covenant was set here on earth. They are physically not on earth. They've tried through many people, your granny, your great-grandmother. They've tried to give ancestral callings. That's what an ancestral calling is. It's a stop this deity from becoming a demon, please, from eating us all or eating our future generations. They've tried, and your great-grandmother, because the lady who started the covenant, your great-great-grandmother said, so she could keep her husband's msamo shut down. So your great-grandmother is under the impression, your grandmother too. So they've stopped the purification process based on what they've been taught, and they run to church, right, to go and serve a God that they feel is their God, right? And that God can help them. That God can help them, because why? I said, Jesus, when you believe that you are standing in righteousness and you believe that all that you do, that's the power of belief. Then you're able to tap into Jesus' frequency. Then you can tap into the God of Mary and Joseph, right? And Jacob, Israel. Then you can tap into the God of Israel, right? And there you can have wealth. This is also why batho ba tsena thapelo ya sephiri. Thapelo ya sephiri is precisely for that reason. That the covenant in your family has evolved in such a way now it's toxic. Because so the one who feels that they want to escape, they will escape by Israel. We're going back to the Jacob being Israel and Israel being the nation. So bakena tapelas piri to still try and connect with the God of that initial covenant. And if Israel's done right, it will benefit them, only them. And this is also why batubari kibuloi, because technically it is. That person o kenang thapelwa sephiri o kenela yena gore yena a tswelle pele yena phele outside of the covenant that's eating the whole family, right? And when they go home, they can continue to perpetuate the demon. That's why because under that covenant, but right? Under the guise of another energy, but connecting with that higher energy, then that higher energy can sort of bypass what's going on in the house and give it to them. Israel is a bypass. Tapela spirit is bypass. Tapela spirit is also a way of you going to that first msamo and saying to that deity, to that God, listen, I've been sexually assaulted and raped and all of those things. And that's why Israel, they've got a belief, your trauma, your pain is your power, right? Your pain is your power. So, acknowledging that the pain that you've been through is what makes you powerful. So now your perception of this entity that is turning demonic, it becomes very different. It's a mindset shift now. Because now you're starting to realize, or you, according to Thapela's Phiri, the concept is now you start to think that trauma, my pain, is something that can bring me closer to God. Who's God? That great-great-grandmother's deity. And if I can ignore the pain and that's why they do what they do there. And then abahlabi muntu. So, your ancestors, bakamuntu, your bloodline, babasa kena Thapela's Phiri. Because our pets talk of babasa kena Thapela's Phiri. Abadikin. They've gone to their own God. Right? They're with their own God. So Thapela's Phiri, just like how that covenant was made, Thapela's Phiri works the same way. Right? It's pulling on that deity entity to help you function. That's why a lot of people, when they grow old, Thapela's Phiri. Right? They're going to the original God, the God of their ancestors. Back to the story, I digressed. Right? When you get raped, your trauma, just like the topic here, Thapela's Phiri, your trauma cannot be addressed by Dimu because indirectly it was an inevitability, right? Based off of their actions. But batlhokofetse, and they can't undo it. And you become like the ball post where the snowball has been rolling down a hill and it hits you. So on the one end, I know you guys are not going to take this well. On the one end, there is an incredible rejoice on the part of your ancestors that you've endured such a horror, because one person in the bloodline has been jolted awake. Trauma forces you to open your eye to the spirit world and to readdress or to start to converse with that initial deity. You guys want to talk to God? Even Jesus showed us. The only way he managed, or he must be able to go to God, was that he had to be beaten up and experience severe trauma. That's the shortest way to connect with your God. Trauma, pain. The more excruciating the pain, the more your God has got to say to you. So on the one end, they rejoice that there's somebody who's going to be able to channel raw energy, because now you're angry, right? Now you are hurting. And whether you know this or not, you are subliminally seeing your mom and even your uncle, the person who raped you. You are seeing them for who they truly are, as betrayers, as Judases, right? I know my explanation is not making sure, but I want you to go with me, right? I want you to go with me. You are now seeing your mom and your uncle from a spiritual place as Judases, because they knew, or they know, that you've gone through this trauma. The wool before your eyes and the reality that you thought you are stuck into is now being forced broken. Now, your ancestors are not happy that this has happened to you, right? But now your bloodline has a shot at someone changing the trajectory of what's been going on, right? Someone in the bloodline has a shot at changing the trajectory. Now, how this is going to work right, this is where it also, like I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, it's twisted. On the one end, if you get stuck in the sadness and the pain and the trauma and the betrayal of the family member who raped you, and the family member that you told about this and they said nothing or they shut you down, if you can keep that trauma, it's like seeing that these people are Judases and you keep on hoping that they will become Peters. That's going to keep you in your own new karmic loop. That trauma will give birth to other traumatic experiences. Because how did the trauma arrive, Moena, to begin with? That deity had become corrupt. And it finally manifested itself into a corrupt, evil action against you. If you go through the trauma, relive it, right, without being angry enough to see your family members for who they really are, and you want to remain delusional, right, what will happen is you will continue to self-destruct. You will drink alcohol, you will drink medications because you so desperately want to see these Judases as Peters. You so desperately want your mom that you told about the rape, your grandmother that you told about the rape, to remain the person that you love. You so desperately want them to remain as the idol. And you're not seeing that this idol has walked away from the initial entity that was summoned. This idol is going to keep you in that cycle. And that idol, the same way they were not able to protect you, they are most not going to stop the trajectory of this now new cycle. Now you're giving that pure energy that had been converted, dirtied into a demonic energy. Now you're giving it a life of its own, where it can function in your life almost like unstopped. You will self-destruct. You will take medication. You will drink alcohol. It's almost like the same concept of the granny who holds on to her daughter's toxic husband, but doesn't want Malume to have a strong woman. If you allow this, it's like now you are the wife between the evil, toxic, narcissistic Malume, who's technically now like a husband because he slept with you, and your mom or your grandmother, your caregiver, who is still the toxic mom, who knows about this abusive husband, but wants you to shut up and grin and bear it. Even if they don't say grin and bear it, but this one is not telling that one to stop. So they are going to create that three-way cycle that your mom was in with her husband and her mother. Right? When you get stuck in the trauma, your ancestors can't do anything about it. You will spiral out of control. The best thing will be for you to have an ancestral calling and probably yakometsing for purification. And the whole point in this case would be the ancestral calling needs to be yaseporofito. Why? Because we need water, pure energy. We need a conduit, like how that initial spirit was called, right? To be able to wash you, right? Because rape is like you becoming a human blood sacrifice. When someone has sex with you against your will, a cleansing will be done, but that person, it's like they take a part of your soul. Anything that is spirit mixed with blood is human. Spirit mixed with blood is human, right? Blood is how you know something has become tangible into human form. Carbon. So when somebody rapes you, even though you don't bleed, they take the energetic blood. They take your blood. It's an energetic blood. So Badimo need to give you a prophetic gift to boost the water in you. Why? When you were born, your mom lost water and blood. Right? So it means to revive you, water and or blood is required. Now, a lot of you guys will go for a blood cleansing at some point, even if it's like gut chicken or whatever the case. That'll happen. But it should ideally be a prophetic gift where you're cleansed with water and candles first. Why? Because then you are given garments that get to your knees, that restore your own sense of who you are to you. We give you a new identity. Versus the traditional gift, Ubungoma needs you to be very self-aware, right? Because Ubungoma, you're going to gita in front of people. You're going to wear whatever, amabai, short skirts, whatever, right? Ubungoma is not beneficial when you are emotionally broken. Because Ubungoma in itself, the initiation is hard. It's meant to be hard. It's meant to be traumatic, right? So because of that, if you go into Ubungoma after being sexually assaulted, then Twas is going to be in vain, right? It's not going to even, that is the case where you find people bakena bathwasa kompanding and within a week or two, umuntu khalelinkani. This thing, it's a blood disease now, and it needs to see blood being shed so that they could have like a drip. It's not healing them. Sporofito, now we cover you with a water element, right? With a water deity, right? Most probably that deity had elements of water in it. Otherwise, it wouldn't need to be actualized, to make a covenant. If it was a blood deity, it would have started doing its work from there on, right? So it means that every spirit, the spirit of quote unquote quote God, needs blood to come on earth. So now, to be able to purify this perverted version, it's like the blood has turned stale. Now we wash you with water and we dress you with the garments of the water, because water is another powerful conduit of spirit. But it's a conduit of spirit when dealing with the psycho-spiritual, with the metaphysical and not the physical. Blood is where you make spirit turn physical. Water is the metaphysical. It's like the in-betweener, right? It's like the place between earth and the spirit world. Now, if you can heal that trauma quick enough, what your ancestors will do, and I know you guys are not going to believe me, what they're going to do is give you shut up money. Actually, when you get sexually assaulted, you are due for some type of financial blessing. The only thing is, the financial blessing can happen either when you let go of the issue, quote unquote forgive, make sense of it, or choose to see the perpetrators as who they truly were. This one is actually the one that is most beneficial. This one, when you see the perpetrators as who they truly are, then Badimu have to release to you money. This will come through a job. This will come through whatever. You will not struggle to get a job. You should not struggle to get money. You shouldn't. Right? They need to now, as part of your shut up money, as your compensation, they will still have traces, right? Because utlhapiswe ka metsi, of men who are going to want to give you money. But these men are going to come in a wholesome way. They're going to come as brother figures. They're going to come as, trusted lovers. These will be lovers that you will trust. And they're going to want to help you move your agenda up. They're going to come in the form of attraction to you, but they are there as like physical representatives of your mkhulus. The trick also now to that is that once you receive the shut up money, you may never tell anybody about it. You may never tell these men, the physical mkhulus, about the sexual assault in your family. Shut up money ke tšhelete go kwala case. That's why you need to be healed about it. You can rant and rave with your family members, no problem. But you may never share this with your lover ever. I don't know why, but I think I've got an idea. And I'm gonna talk about yes, this is definitely after the cleansing, right? But even before the cleansing, if you can quickly get a grip, it's so funny that this is the one thing that your ancestors want you to keep a secret. It's almost unfair. You're going to get lovers that are going to look after you, right? You're going to also be averse. So your ancestors are going to, that's the first part, the money part. Second thing is they are going to dictate to you who you may sleep with. They will dictate who you sleep with. Because they know that that energy wants to find a way to re-enter your life and re-traumatize you and put you in a cycle. Because the cycle of trauma is so much easier because it's been going on for generations in your bloodline. So they're going to dictate to you who you can date. They will give you some time for celibacy. And in a twisted way, for some men or some women, you guys, I don't know, but I don't know if you're going to believe me. In a twisted way, they're going to give you time for celibacy because you are going to be attracted to men. You're going to be attracted to men who look exactly like your rapist, whether in character or what. The reason, Gogo, why they want you to hush about it is because anything that you vocalize, you give power of command to. Now, these healer men that are here to help you, right? They are running at a frequency higher than where you are, right? And they make the shut up money available. So they promote you to higher positions. They move you higher up, right? So what you speak about, you give airtime to. And these healer men that are going to help you, because this is such a low vibrational demonic act that has been done to you, whenever you open your mouth to speak about it, you are sharing, you are creating a party for that entity to come back and rework itself into your life. So they will immediately be turned off. They will leave you. On the other hand, your ancestors will be very strict about who you date. In a twisted fate, and I think for those who've been raped, they would know. Okay, in a twisted way. You are in a twisted way in hindsight attracted to the man who rapes you. Because it's your mind's way of dealing with it. It's your mind's way of dealing with it. And you being trapped between the guilt and the shame, that's where the loop begins. And I'm going to tell you guys what I tell all of the people who've been raped that have come to see me. In your mind, try as much to think of the actual rape as a physical thing only. Sure. I want to take a break because, like I said, this is a very deep topic to me, very close to my heart. I've seen this topic in many ways. And I want to take a break because I'm going to tell you guys how I try to help these women fix their psyche. And y'all are going to be shocked. You guys are going to be so shocked, right? This is a very unpopular opinion, what I'm about to say, right? But I'm going to take a quick break, make fresh coffee, then we get into it. Okay, I think I've got a grip on this. So My late mother and I used to have a lot of conversations about her life. Um, I'm very grateful because my mother was candid about a lot of things. I asked her all sorts of questions whenever she would visit me in varsity. And it was the first time I actually heard of rape in a family, right? She told me about several family members because she was so beautiful. And I remember one time saying to her, this was the beginning of me contextualizing it because she had never told anybody and she was very upset about it. Not knowing that I will essentially get married to, my own rapist because I got married to somebody that I did not want to get married to at the time and blah, blah, blah. But when we conversed with my mother when she was alive, and I'm getting emotional because I can hear her saying that, she's so proud of me for seeing things this way. I said to my mom, why didn't you just take it as flattery that as young as you were, that you were so beautiful, so desirable? And, at the time she couldn't get it because she had been stuck in the trauma for a long time, right? This was the catalyst to how she became the woman that she was, right? Because this happened in high school. And I said to her, why didn't you just tell yourself that you are very attractive and tell your uncles to give you money? Because technically you are their wives now. And she kept on telling me how much, she tried to tell my grandmother and my grandmother wouldn't hear of it. And my great-grandmother as well. They wouldn't hear of it. They told her to essentially keep it to herself. Shut up. And then a few years went by. A cousin of mine had similar experience, my older sister. And my grandmother was relaying the story of how, they had a meeting for her, that she was making up a rape story against one of our uncles. And I remember just, I don't know how my grandmother raised this. And I said to her, but that guy Warinyoba, eh? I was like, I believe it. I believe it. And if my cousin needs a backup because they were apparently going to have a second meeting, to basically tell her to hush and to alienate her and make her the bad person, I said to my grandmother, no, I believe it. And I told her about my mother's experience. And I said to my grandmother, you knew about it. And so did your sister. And now this is happening to my cousin. So this guy is fucking us. And you guys are leaving this guy. Long and short. And I was like, he was alive at the time. And I said, well, if you want, I can come and tell, my uncle on everybody's behalf to his face. I don't know if he was still alive or what, but I was like, I can say it in a room full of you. Or I can attest. My grandmother did not ask me how I knew that my cousin wasn't lying. And that was my confirmation, because I said to her, why don't you ask me how I know? Why don't you ask me how I know? And I can give you the details. And she said nothing. She walked away. And I said to her, you're walking away because you don't want to hear the truth. So I followed my grandmother and I said to her, okay, well, with me, my uncle, well, I was too young. He tried. Don't have the details. But he would fondle us a lot. And I just said to my grandmother, I'll tell you now, if there was ever a measure that I am very beautiful, it would be with that guy. We're clearly very attractive women. And I'd be more than happy to tell him, gore a re patale. I don't need a boyfriend. I need him to work for me. Years later, as we conversed with my mother, I kept on telling her that your uncles, because she had a drinking problem, and whenever we're at family gatherings, my mom would get drunk and my mom was spicy. You guys think I'm spicy, I'm nothing. And I would tell her, "Kurbalati, tell them to buy you liquor. They made you this way. They made you this way. And if they won't buy you the liquor, then we can cause a ruckus here. We can make it ugly." I think I was around 15, 16 at the time. Then we can make it ugly. Then we can do a whole family expose. Why don't we do that? So it happened so often, and my mother got more and more and more courage to do that. And as I helped other women who've been raped, like I'm saying forcefully, I've always said to them, "Mutho a go nyoba go patale." That was actually what happened with David's daughter Tamar. When her half-brother raped her, she said to him, "Ask the king, our father, to marry me, but don't do this." Because even likasetso, if you sleep with a woman, wa moshubedisa, you're marrying her. So with the women that with dealing with the trauma, I always say to people, I was married to somebody that disgusted me. And I had to program my mind. Well, this is sex. I can make it what I want it to be. I can hold all the trauma around it. Right? My older sister, Gogo Matlodi, always says, "But you were so young, such trauma, so much rape." And I say to her, well, I could have chosen to look at it that way. But how was that going to help me? I was going to be a mental case. So I started to sort of disassociate it in my mind. If I don't come, the party's not over. If I don't get what I want, if I don't get money, the party's not over. As part of the shut up money, why don't you then make peace with the fact that you had sex with someone and you didn't like it? Shit happens. A go patale. I know that it feels cold and it feels heartless. But how else do you gain your power from somebody who breeds a spirit of fear? How else do you break the pattern of a man who is inciting an energy that will keep on repeating itself in your life? My mom was stuck in the trauma. She helped me out very quickly by thinking and saying to myself, "Ampatale o. Unyobile ampatale." Now I'm here. I'm a divorcee, looking beautiful, meeting very nice men who want to now gift me because they like me, who want to gift me because they love me. Do they want to gift Lerato because she's sexually attractive? Of course. I can never depart from my sexual attraction, but I will not hate it either. I will not hate it. The whole point of a rapist is to get you to hate yourself. And that's why you guys can't get to the shut up money part and the stability part. That's why my mother couldn't get there. That person's aim, the energy that they throw onto you, is an energy that makes sure that you break yourself down. You break yourself down. So with my particular uncle, I was fortunate, but there, I got married to another version of him. Ampatal. No beef, mpatal. Let it be in my own mind that I'm a prostitute. Khulukile. Ampatal. I never asked him. Akamubitsa. I didn't call you. So mpatal. Why? Every man who has ever and will ever sleep with me, utlompatala. In one way or another. He will gift me because he's tapping into my pure, powerful, divine energy. And here's what you guys don't know, the women that have been raped. As part of the gifts that your ancestors will give you, sex healing will be one of the things that you'll be given. Akusana motho o tlo tswa mo wena. Akusana monna o tla tswa mo wena. He'll sleep with you once. He'll be hooked. Because you are undoing the demonic element of the deity ya Kukhalona, which was a feminine deity to begin with, which was making you a sex healer to begin with, which was meant to give you money to begin with. So by looking at this, you are reversing it and you are forcing the initial contract upon your own life. And you're saying, okay, fine, it's done. Right? So what? So what? It's not personal. I had sex with some person that I didn't like. Shit happens. Ampatal. That is it. And in my personal life, I found that to be very empowering. Because now walking out of my marriage, I have every tool to keep a marriage. But back to the actual rape. Some of my friends that have been raped multiple times, they are cashing in on their shut up money. They're making a lot of money. Right? And they are sex healers, so they are attracting men who love them and take care of them. Why? They are quiet about it. These are my friends that we speak about it. Ibile relevets. When it was fresh, it was like, oh shit. Now relevets. They're living wonderful lives in great homes. And they've got their children and their husband who adores them. Right? I had a specific case a while back of a lady whose mom was married to another man. The mom got divorced and sent her teenage daughter to go and live with her ex-husband, who was not her father. The father and this lady had a sexual relationship. So for this lady, it was hard for her to understand that this is rape, because in her mind it was consensual. And when we spoke, I said to her, consensual or not, linyobani. Went on for over a year. Her mom ostracized her. Her mom, blew trumpets about it. Her mom blew trumpets about it. Told the family, they had family members involved in this, for this lady to get, have a meeting, to be humiliated. And I said to this lady, it is the African way to humiliate a person who's raped. Your mom should have known better. Why send you to go and live with a man that she used to sleep with? And she no longer wants him. What was she saying you must go do there? And this lady is now conflicted because the quote unquote stepfather started this sexual assault as a relationship. He paid for her studies. It's speaking to the second type of sexual assault I spoke about. He paid for her studies, right? All he did was replace the mom with the daughter. She was 19. She needed a mom who fucking cares. The mom, when living with the stepdad, was the aggressive parent. The stepdad was the nice one. So guess what's going to happen when two people are in the house? Stepdad obviously is seeing this girl as a replacement for mom. Mom, whether she wants to admit it or not, has sent her daughter to be a replacement for her. Because why would you send your daughter to live with a man who's not even her father? What are you saying? What are you saying? You're saying she's 19? So this lady, I ended up sitting her down and said, you are horny, so what? You're having sex with your stepdad. Is he still paying money? Is he paying for you? And she said no, because of, how everybody has, attacked her and all of that. And I said, how are you sitting amongst everybody judging you and judging yourself too? And I said, did you not think that you loved him when you were doing this? And she said yes. And I said he was counting on that. Because had you not loved him, had he not solicited you through the act of love, he would have raped you forcefully anyway. So it's better for your own mental health that you thought you loved him, that this could continue for the year whilst he pays for your studies. And I said, so you had a sugar daddy who so happened to fuck your mom. Tough. Take what he gave you and go and study. Go and use that education. And when you run out of money, call him. Tell him you owe me. Tell him you owe me. Not because her mom doesn't want her anymore, no. But because this man umujil. Period. And I'm watching this lady spiraling out because of the guilt of loving this man. And I said, you don't realize that this is not love. This is a coping mechanism. You already had abandonment issues. And he created the right environment. And I asked that lady, how many women do you know out here that are sleeping with men because they need money? Babangata. Right? And they get their corporate jobs. They go right up. Some of them get jobs. I had friends who got jobs kamarago. And I remember my one friend, she was saying, but I can't do that. And she had a child, her mom was not working, her sister was not working, no one was working in the house. So you're going to have a salary. You're going to be able to get educated. But right now, the ninjas that are picking you up ka weekend and sleeping with you for the weekend, regular chicken licking and dropping you off on Monday, they're doing exactly what that man is going to be doing. So sometimes it's painful because it is an unpopular opinion. And I'm not marginalizing the pain of those who've been raped. I watched it in my mother's life. I watched it, the forceful version, right? I lived part of it in a loveless marriage. 14 years. What did I get out of it? I got beautiful children and I've got looks for days. I watched it through my friends. I watched it through people who come and see me. You can create the happily ever after. And that's where Badimu don't say anything. Right? Because they know that the uncle is part of a demonic msamo. It's a cult now. And us judging your uncle or this lady's stepdad is besides the point. Both of these people are involved in deities and spiritual contracts that are phezu kwamandla abo, like phezu kwamandla abo. And we hate it. It's not the message, because the message is go and open a case. By all means, go and open a case, right? If it's some stranger or whoever, even if it's your family member, if you want to open a case, open a case. The point is, in your own psychology, bring this down to a simple sexual interaction. That's it. That's it. Because any time in your lives where you guys have had sex with someone that you don't love. And, I'll say this, when I left my marriage, that's the condition that my ancestors put to me. They say to me, if you ever have sex with someone that you don't genuinely love, we will kill you. Because anytime you've ever had sex with someone that you don't love, it is rape. It is rape. You're offering your body as a sacrificial lamb for someone else's pleasure. Even if this person, you hope to keep them. Whenever you have sex and you feel like this man does not love you and you're hoping to keep him and you need to have sex with him, it is rape. And you've offered your body for an ungodly act. So how many of us are walking around here being raped? How many of us are walking around here being raped? Offering yourselves up. How many married women? Married women, y'all know, it gets boring. It gets boring as fuck. Right? How many times ufa muthu marago for favor? It's an unpopular opinion. So for me walking away, my ancestors said to me, that is why I may never, and that's where my celibacy comes from. Unless I am literally above the moon in love with somebody and I've been shown that person's character, I may not have sex. So that's why I'm celibate. I'm celibate for that reason, right? Because I know that me having sex with so-and-so because I want to keep them, because I want to prove to them that I love them, because I want them to stay with me, because of anything. If I ever have sex from here on, it's going to be because I want to. And I'm like a fuck off after I'm not expecting anything from them. I went into it with my eyes open and without my trauma. I don't need him to take care of me, to be with me. But for those who have taken from me in the past, and for those who have taken from you in the past, let them pay you. Okay. Okay, I see somebody wants to join as a guest. Let's go. You send an invitation. I'm going to post this on YouTube. It's so hard. But I hope to write a book on African sexuality and how many fetishes we really have as Black people. We've got a lot of unsaid fetishes, telling y'all. Fetish dia round dia to the other side. Right? Because of how our marriages are structured. And for those by Limbasoto, you would know. I've been kopitiking. I've been there. You see a woman with a blue eye. Kopitiking. For those who know, you know. And she's singing and she's idolizing this man. And she's exerting all of her sexual energy on him. So the reason why your grandmothers cannot say anything about this is because they were also in those loveless rape marriage situations because of those contracts. And they didn't know shut up money. So y'all better take the shut up money and keep moving. If it helps you to feel like the perpetrator was somebody that you had bad sex with, do that. It does make you hard, right? But it also helps you to disassociate your identity from that. And it makes the cleansing effective because then you won't fall into the cycle of running into another man who is like your rapist. Gwana no, yo. Bophelo ba ka bo monate no. Hello,
Hi, Gaga. How are you?
I'm good and you. Heavy topic.
It is a heavy topic, but very interesting at the same time. I feel like a lot of people, even though it's unconventional and some people will not receive it well. Yeah, marona leng ditsebe o utlwile.
Yeah.
Literally, that's all I can say. And not that I relate, like in terms of being R word. And I wanted to tell you, Gogo, if you saying the word will maybe be censored on the live. I was
What?
worried about that. Yeah, sometimes it does that. Because I see a comment that says some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. So I don't know. So that's why I'm saying R word. But
Oh shit.
anyway, yeah. So going forward, I know you didn't know, Coco, but going forward, yeah,
Okay.
maybe, you know. So I don't know. I relate to this in such a sense that I recently met someone, and this person that I met also very very tricky situation, right?
I love those.
But I feel as though part of the connection we have, yes, is it's there's a sexual element to it now, right?
Mhm.
And he was so quick in also popping out the money. And it
Okay.
left me, so I was just wondering, Hori, what's the end goal? I always ask myself this, like, what's the end goal with this person? Because, well, there's intense feelings, I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also not very stingy on the pocket. Okay,
Okay.
lavo. So ke dula ke iputsisa hore this person, because I won't lie, una le motho, right? Una le
Mm-hmm.
motho, quite stable. And I often ask myself, hore, could it be like, I don't know how to phrase this, but part of the you also deserve a person like this type of situation. Does it happen for people like that? That even if it's not a normal situation, but you meet a person like that who's willing to be all that in your life.
Look, I mean, how many years did you have failed relationships and people who just left you hanging?
Mm, actually, I remember you saying to me last year, "Oh my God, we had a conversation," and you said to me, "Yo, I wish you knew how much you and your mom are owed spiritually." And you said something like, "Yeah, but we live for these broke men." And now he comes along, and yeah, I can't say it's been roses, but it's been roses.
Okay, let me
It's
read
been
the Bible
roses.
scripture for you as
Mm-hmm.
a mini prophet. I just want to see. Bitso la ntate la morale mahelang, amen. Morena o bua tjena, mohlalefi a se ithorise ka bohlale ba. This guy is here to bring a newfound sense of wisdom.
Yeah.
He's here to help you also with your education.
Oh, Gogo,
I don't
you
know
are
if this is,
spot on.
yeah, so he's here for that, to help you with your education. Um, he's not going to be there forever, obviously, but he really likes
Mm.
you. Does he have dodgy things that he's doing? Of course. But
Yeah.
yeah, o na le ngaka ya gagwe. O na le ngaka ya gagwe. It's okay.
And that time he acts like, hey, I can imagine to say, but I always tell him, I'm like, I also feel like for me to be in his life, right?
Mhm.
It's to remind him of that side. Yakai. I always say that to him. Because he puts this foot forward and garai, now I don't want anything that's gonna associate me with like ancestral stuff and whatnot, whatnot, whatnot.
That's important for him to be that way. It's important for him to be that way
Yeah.
because you don't want to pull in somebody who is overly superstitious. I mean, look, we are good. We are good when we are
Mm.
spiritual, right? But let's be realistic. Go na le level ya dilulunyana mo. Have you noticed?
True. Absolutely. Absolutely, Gogo. A bunch of us have it.
Re na le
Mm.
dilulunyana yeah, like yeah, 3 minutes. So if someone is busy, if
Yeah.
someone is busy making money, they don't have the time for the delulu because they don't have the time to ask questions tsa gore why is their life not working out.
True.
So they are working with their dlozi
Yeah.
practically. And their dlozi doesn't care. And I think I always say this, Badimo don't care, or do you call them my Badimo Mudimo at the end of the day? It doesn't matter.
Mm.
As long as you're working at your most productive being and you believe in yourself. So there's a big element of that. He's there for education. I am going to say the issue, yeah, his other person, it's going to be something with time that you're going to need to work on.
Work
You're
on
gonna
how, Gogo. If you don't
you're gonna
mind,
feel,
I'm gonna
yeah,
feel.
you're gonna feel, like you're attached to him. Um,
Yeah.
and that person shouldn't be there.
That's
But
very scary. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
mhm.
why. Um, he's the first person that I've been with that's got a person like that. And now I come from a home where my mom was with a person like that. So I always think to myself, yo, it would be so scary to put myself through that situation when I've actually seen the results that they, you get what I'm
No,
saying?
the only reason why your mom suffered is because she didn't choose a marriage at a later stage.
Yeah. Yo,
She
I'm always so
didn't.
scared. Every day I remind him, I'm like, I'd never be pregnant by you. And he's like, why? I'm like, no, because I come from that and I'm so scared. I guess it's me projecting my trauma, but I'm so scared of that. And also, you are spot on, Coco. He paid for my school fees.
I love him for you. I love that for you.
Ah, he paid for my school fees. Imagine.
Like, that's wonderful. So
Yeah.
have all the fun. Like I said earlier on, bomkhulu, your paternal, your grandfathers, they
Yeah.
love to manifest themselves into a physical man.
Mm,
And I know that's twisted, right? Because
it is.
technically, it's the spirit of your granddad that you're humping.
Nahan. Nahan.
You're humping your granddad in a
Yeah, I
physical
guess in
different
that
form.
sense. Hmm.
But that's also why you get Banababa, you get twin flame babies. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
none of us walks alone. So he was just there. He is here to help you with your. He's here also. I'm hearing to help you ground yourself, to affirm yourself, um, to really be a go-getter. The only thing that I see being a stumbling block will be you feeling like you want to have him all to yourself forever and ever. Why is that going to be a stumbling block? Because from this man onwards, it's going to get better and better and better and better and better. This is the new trajectory now.
I love this for me. I love this
I love
for.
it for you too.
I feel like it came from a lot of it came from what you were talking about in terms of just choosing yourself and deciding that I'm gonna have this sort of mentality about certain things. And that
Yeah,
gave birth, for me personally in my life, it really gave birth to, hi man, I deserve nice things, miss. I
you
really
do.
deserve nice things.
You, on
Literally.
behalf of your cuckoos, on behalf
Yo,
of your grannies. You know, there was a time, oh, I was so cross. My
yeah.
granny, I think this was back when I was married. And
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, like your ancestors, they can program you to think, right?
Yeah.
My granny one time, I was like, no, I don't wanna have sex with this guy. And my granny was like, do you know we used to fuck guys for a chicken, bruh.
Nahan. Yo.
I was like, for cuckoo. She was like, be nice, be nice, be nice. Just
Mm,
go, just go. Just, it's gonna be fine. So this is
yo.
one of those things, he is
Uh-huh.
beneficial to you. And Nahana, was it for Kuku? I was like, yeah. She was like, for
Nahan.
Kuku, for Sunday
The
chicken,
level is down below.
right? And I'm hearing your ancestors saying that now this is you getting to relive a wonderful life on their behalf. Another thing is this guy is here to help you to remove the labels, because the scripture that I'm reading now, matsapa ohle a lekilwe, a hlotswe, a kganathetse mafume. It's like this guy is forcing you to let go of the definition of idlozi and who you are and your victim mentality.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's not about that business. He's just like
No.
right now when you and I speak about your greatness, we don't speak about ifs. That's him. That's how
Oh,
he
I
speak.
love
We
it.
don't speak about if. We
Outcome.
speak about yes when it happens. That's literally how he is. And when he asked me, so when I was telling you, Jorge, he's not the very traditional ancestral things. He asked me, Anna, I saw you with the beads, whatnot. I'm like, no, I don't wear that. But I feel like when I did, it was just for me to actually, it was the identity that I needed to literally take the spiritual things serious. But right
Yeah.
now, I've, I feel like I'm past that. I'm past that.
Yes.
I can't say I know everything, but I'm at a better
Yeah.
level right now. So he's
Absolutely.
absolutely that in my life. And great thing, Kore, o tla le ntho tse kaofela and the money.
Love it for
And the
you.
money.
If I can tell
Mm,
you, I've had readings, Libo Makwapeni, about very important people.
yeah.
Anka leblela mo, yo, my TikTok, eka benwa. And these women are very spiritual. And bokuko ba bone ba ba bontsha things that they must go and do for them in Paris.
Imagine.
Eh,
Yo.
So But they want to go to Paris. They want to go to Germany.
And they will find the
And I'll be
means.
because these are side chicks to both so and so.
Mm-hmm.
And I will just say, I'm seeing wherever I'm seeing Germany, and your granny wants you to buy this, and they're like, listen, my so and so, a very important person, is taking me to Germany. They've got a house there.
Hectic.
Let's keep it moving.
Let's keep it moving. Ke ba rata bo kuku
From
boso. Coco.
Yeah, from
Hari
chicken
and
to
Bila.
to
I feel
Germany.
like yes, from chicken from Nando's. Somebody in the comments say for Nando's. From Nando's to Germany. How you tasting Nando's ew? Kwako Jimin.
Nje. So
Right.
definitely all of these things, or this material, wait to go name. This is also linking this up with the whole rape conversation.
Yeah.
Your human experience, Mulifatsing, is just a body. What you call your soul, what you call your traumas, can I tell you, they're like an interpretation on someone else's actions. You're going
I
to
think
drop
also
this
learning
body.
to yeah, learning also to detach, like you were saying. You know, you always have, even when it's like very hard, but as a person, you always have a choice on how you interpret something. Definitely. Definitely.
What was
Choose the
here, this
part that
body
choose
more?
the one that's gonna benefit
Hmm,
you the most.
hmm, You're going to drop this body here. Le Jesu wa re bolella gore ko legodimo ga gona monna motho, ga gona mosadi wa motho.
Yeah.
Your grandkids won't give a fuck gore we had this conversation, right? They won't. You're going to be the grandmother who got to go overseas, who got to have a this, who got to have a that, who
Mm-hmm.
got to be married. Like I'm saying, from here, I'm seeing it just getting better and better and better and better and better and better.
I
So
hope so.
it will.
I was really chuffed. I was really chuffed about the whole education thing, Coco, because I always think to myself, I feel like from my great grandmother, actually, I'm the first female to get this far academically. And that just, when he came, it didn't even take 2 weeks. And he was just like to me, listen, I see situation. Let me just do this. And if you repay me, you'll do that. But right now, haretisto.
I love that for you. It's a king. You must twerk
Yeah.
extra. You must twerk extra.
Get no tracker, Gogo. It's a king. Get no
Yeah.
track. I
Yeah.
learned to
Don't be
shake
lazy
something.
there. Yeah, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Education. We're talking
I
about your
won't.
future.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your wisdom, Gogo. Love
I'm so
and
happy for
light.
you.
Always.
Love
Thank you,
that.
Gogo.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, he's very good for you. He's very good for you. He's gonna teach you. He's gonna get clever. This guy is a bit of a rough. He's street smart. He's seen everything. Good
Mm,
strategist, good business person, strong will, strong acumen. He's gonna be like the father that you never had, and he's going to just the girl that you think you are, and you are already that girl. That's why you managed to be put together with him as part of your spiritual growth. From a higher level, you and him are coming from like the same soul group. So
oh,
he
that's
really,
interesting.
really, 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 yeah, he is. You guys are coming from the same soul group. Um, and I'm seeing him holding a key. It's like he made a personal promise to a woman in his life, like his mom or something.
Yeah.
Um, to look after women. Even with that woman, he looked after that woman. It was his mother, I believe. And
Mm,
that woman has blessed him. His mom has blessed him. So yours is to remember to love him unconditionally,
yeah. I
right? Like
definitely will do that.
no matter what.
With our weird situations, but yeah, I always tell him, I'm like, I'm not here to break. I don't want to break. I don't want anybody's position, like keshapo you and I, you know. Yeah, well, that girlhood is proud of you guys.
Yes,
Please
we are so
reach
proud of you.
reach this level for my sake. Do we deserve this? Re batle, re hot. We really deserve this.
And we're hot. It's a king. But like we are hot. We are so hot.
Too
It's
much,
not pretty.
Gogo, too much. And you know what I've found, guys? I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling. This is the last thing, but I've found that how long I know Moya, you can literally make anything look beautiful. So literally, your 50 rand foundation, lip Bobby
Yep.
Brown, 700.
Yep.
That's wana. That's
Yep.
wana.
Yep.
Just make it work. Make it work, and
Yep.
utloba hot. That's it.
Yep. Yep,
That's
yep,
it.
yep. You know what I was saying to a lady this past week? I was saying to her that um, we look at our ministers of the MP Tarona.
Yeah,
You can see it in their eyes that there was a time when they were us,
true.
when they
Mm.
were jikelezeng ko magaeng,
Mm.
ba etsa dilo tsa badimo because le bone ba etsa dilo tsa badimo.
Definitely.
You
Definitely.
know, Mam NG Motshega, a re 4 ka that week.
And Anna Taba, it's hore is kwenze is wrong. She doesn't care.
O phatlhetse badimo ba hae. She's done
Mm.
everything and ba itse go lokile and they opened the door. She might have been some random teacher, she might have been some random lady. And look at
Yeah.
how easy it is for your ancestors to put you into a very prestigious position. And we think these are just
Position.
Bible
Mm.
stories, you
True.
know?
This
So,
is also another testimony. So
mhm.
last year I spoke to you, and it was when
Uh-huh.
I was not. I think I was going to my second semester, and I was so confused. I'm just like, I can't school fees for and you said to me, your grandmother says, "Tama school, just go to school. That's it. You'll find a way to pay your fees." And here we are, Gogo.
I'm
Thank you
loving
so
it.
much
I could
to
walk
you
with boss.
guys. Oh,
I
it's
could boss.
again.
I could with boss. Listen, so happy for you.
Thank you, Gogo. Only greatness from here for all of us. For all of us.
All of us, for all of us.
Yeah. Love and kisses, Gogo. Thank you
Right.
for your time.
Thank you then. Bye.
I don't know how to exit your
I'll
TikTok.
disconnect you.
Please do. Thank you, Gogo.
Thanks. Bye. Labon? Yeah, we're taking all the ministers of parliament never thought they're going to be where they are. And all the CEOs never thought they're going to be who they are. At some point, there was somebody's child, what it's a snacks, having their heart struggles, right? And through spiritual growth and learning, so you guys most definitely deserve to date higher up in your league because those men and those women, they're not sweating the small stuff. They don't care about your traumas. Not because they've never been through trauma, but they know that when you want something, life has been so cruel to them, right? Life has been so cruel to them that they they manage to build up on this. I'm going to speak about men that have been essayed by their uncles and strangers. I think I'm going to make this next week's topic. Woo, this one's going to be very hard, very painful, but I'm going to make it next week's topic. Let's go to sleep. It's been 3 hours. I've been talking. I'm going to post this on YouTube. Love and light to you guys who've been sexually assaulted. Look, it was bad sex. Don't sweat it. Whether you felt like you love this person or you don't, amukhel, right? But have a very clear conviction that patale, and if he's no longer here, if I talk of it, your uncle, o jileng, and a glass of water. Fell, leg handle. No, I want my shut up money. No, I want my shut up money. Pay on win, right? He's going to give it to you. Funny, the uncle that that I spoke about in my own family, I see him now and he's laughing. Tlogofa. Utlogofa. No got shut up man. And no. I thought like a sokola mo no rejamo. And leave him some after that. Okay? Let them give it to you. Kutlolokang. Try not to dwell on the trauma um and then we move. Right? Let me write my number. For those who've had uncles, husbands baba raping batho in the family, don't be ashamed. You're not the ones who did it. Let them face the consequence of what they've done. But don't feel shame on their behalf. And don't even bother feeling disgust. Because we are all people and we're going through things. Let them be punished legally by the law. And the family, whether it's your dad or your uncle or what, right? Let's say if it's been your daughter that's been raped, your niece that's been raped by that uncle. Answer chelete ya nku, le tlhapise ngwano ka nyoko ya nku. Right? Ba le tlhapise ngwano ka nyoko ya nku. Uncle, that stepfather, whoever. A etsa mokete, tsetse ngwano party. Right? A mo tlhapise, a tlhatswe lenyelo e la gagwe. A mo rakele diaparo tse dintšha, and then after that a emele ko kgakala kwa. Right? And it's so interesting with moms and aunts and grandmothers whose men are raping children in the family. Y'all don't have to you don't have to feel bad. So you don't have to feel like you need to protect the image of the family. But that is no. Let him stand on his own, right? Because you're understanding that the disease is coming from way back. Let him stand on business. Make him, after you guys take your grandchild, niece, daughter for the right care, apatale now and go be faced with the law. At a medic case and Oscar Mokap at Amai, one. Apatale his lawyer. And if they manage to release him, umlelo ing. Umetsetse party ngwano. Oh yeah, no, I must not say the word. Right? That's it. Asabatli. We play lor. What's ama? Umor kya now. Now. I'm gonna televise what you're doing. Aba patali, right? But tu sebanaba, right? And if it's a stranger, and as a mother, a stranger's done this to your child, samobona somebody. Wamoya. Mutaku tuse, mutoa patali. One way or another. Apatali. Tlhagelwe ke apatali. Aska tswa fela jinjeje. Have that conviction over your daughters, right? And your nieces. Have that conviction. If it's not a family member and they can't pay, or if it's not your husbanding, how can you block it so that his kids don't do it? How? Like, I don't understand. Banaba the perpetrator, or they don't do it. But tlhapiseng as a family. Baphahlele their mother's ancestors and not their father's ancestors. If you guys are the rakadis, but those kids, but I'm very tlhapiswa kwa bo mama bona. Go itwe mokete kwa bo mama bone. Go phagamiswe msamo ole, because go tshore yo msamo as bo rakadi is failing. Something's wrong. Lukupe o mama lona your great grandmother permission. Bana ba le ba ye kwa ba ile tlhapiswa kwa bo mama bone. Go itwe mokete kwa. Mekgwanyane fail. Right? So no, sometimes yes, karma does kick people, right? It does, but in my personal experience, I've even gotten to the point where Badimbaka like yeah, we thinking every really divio, is it divio batla go bua. Badimbaka like karma for what? Wa batla motho mong a bane le karma. Le ne ke ngwana ntate modimo. So now a ke sa batla le gore ke emele di karma. If I want to do something ke tlo yetsa. Mkhulu, how are you?
Tell again, mama.
Thank you, Mkhulu.
Yeah, le sharp man.
Ke ja kwena ke a tutla ditaba tsa go.
Oh, No, it's not even that. That's what I was saying. Just like a quick feedback or anything. I know we spoke like a while back, and then I made
Yes.
notes, and I managed to go home, and then I did
Yeah.
as per the instructions, Kamulor and all of that. So I think since I came back, but obviously for now I don't have like a concrete thing to show, but I can literally see, like everything that you kind of say, like Kadibon, and like I mean, you mentioned the mining side of things. All of a sudden, the discussions in my meetings are leading towards that, and like I'm able to enter doors that are they were so difficult for me to crack. I don't know if I make sense. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to take it a step further?
Yes, that's why when I or jump in, I didn't want to waste your time because I know you were saying your goodbyes. I was like, oh, think I'm late, but let me try my luck. So I'm like, it looks like I'm on the right track, but as per your instruction, I try to do everything as per instruction. Look, kwamphathela the way, kankamulora the way, no explain thing. I've got it, like everything. So I'm like, I think from now on, it can only go further. Yeah.
Okay, I see you going committing. I believe there's something else that you need, except it's something that is still like in the development process for me.
Okay.
It's a specific part that I was told that I'm going
Mm.
to do for people's like for their prosperity, but I also create everything, so I can't give it to you. But for
Yeah.
now, I see you uli committing. I'm hearing the strength of your voice. So something about our Phahla, okay, you don't do it often, but when you
Yeah.
do, you must have a very firm sense of this is what I want.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm like Baritisa Kodu. I don't know
Oh,
why they're saying it like
it
that.
makes sense because I become very, what's the word? Ka Sekgowa ke tla reng mara? I become too humble. Like, o kare ke a tshabanyana and super respectful. I give it firm.
No, no.
Yes.
Tisa Kodu.
Okay.
So what my grandfather said to me a couple of weeks ago, and can I? Oh, and he's like, no, I'm not ready to share it. But what I'm gonna say is this: when you make a command,
Mm.
you've got Buntate Mogolo by your entire bloodline behind you,
Yeah.
making that command with you through your mouth. So it's not
Okay.
just you making the command.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
They are not sitting and waiting for you. They're not just sitting and waiting for you to make the command for things to happen. No. They are elevating, like expanding your command. So it's like, and my granddad is like, one command you're thinking. It's like, have you seen
Yeah.
how the water ripples?
Yes. 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 Yeah.
When you make the command, all the other ancestors, they make the ripple. So your command is actually, it expands on its own,
Yeah.
and they expand it like in every other direction into the universe,
Yeah.
into different
Okay.
meanings.
Yeah.
So that's about, yeah, Uskaba, iba,
Yeah. Give it firm. Yeah. Okay.
iba ki batla.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything in life, sanse be ki batla.
Mm. Mm. Anyway, some of us we like I don't know, like you tend to like I don't know. At the same time, you're trying to be like very respectful, but you like you want something, but you put it in a way you're getting out sure. But when you're saying that, I can literally relate.
These people have got unlimited, abundant resources.
Mm.
Dilo tse di etsang ko legodimo.
Yeah,
How's how's the money sitting in ko legodimo? Yetsa.
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Mudima's got no use for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So set the command, set it in tone so that it created that ripple effect. Let that whatever that form of abundance you believe in, let it
Yeah.
spiral down, itlemo, according to you, because a gona ntho e ntate Modimo a tlo e etsang ka yo abundance. And
Yeah.
ha gene nix ha wena o sa mo kopa. That's why a sa foke.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're doing yourself a big disfavor by not commanding what you want.
Okay. No, I'll fix that. I'll fix that. But other than that, I think you mentioned the maid, so I'm like, I know you said you wanted to take like a step further. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I don't know how. Well, I guess I'll have to figure that one out. But yeah,
Ha le go ya ko metsing, I don't know, I'm seeing you apere like a dust coat. Ebile o kare ke tse o itheketseng yona fela.
yeah, the one.
Um,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah,
And I'm seeing you, something about you, le go bina dipina tse o ka reng tsa kosha. What's your connection le ZCC or le Bapedi ko gae?
yeah. Yeah, but we don't. On my family, my immediate family, I don't have like a CC background that close. You know, I can't. Yeah, I can't really comment on it that much. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing like kosha. It's like wabina kosha. So this is bina as Pedi. I would say
Yeah.
it like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah. Mm, mm.
this would be a cultural song. So this is a
Oh,
cultural song that you would
yes, yes.
sing.
Yeah.
Ya ko metsing and sing that song.
Okay.
E gore
Yes, yes. Now I hear you. Yeah.
kanyane o ba tsose ba Bapedi ba eme. I always say anybody from the north,
Yeah.
Limpopians, if you're a broke Limpopian,
It's your choice.
I'll see.
But the only time where I spent actually just to catch you there, the only time I happened to be in Durban last weekend. So I kinda like spent a bit of time by the ocean banks, you know. It felt so refreshing, you know. But yeah, so especially what was it? I think Sunday. I literally almost like spent the whole day by the beach. Yeah.
Wait till you guys' lives, mara o kare dilo tsa ko di moving man. Wait till le phela monate man. Yes.
No, I went there because of, I'm sure you would have seen if you're a social person, there was a cruise thing that was happening. So I happened to be on that
Yes.
cruise. So I spent like a couple of days on that cruise in the middle of the sea. Then when we got off on Sunday, I'm like, no ways, I'm not going back to Joburg. I'm gonna spend the day in Durban and then I'll fly back on
Yeah.
Monday. Then yeah, I was like, I just want to chill by the beach. Like, and then yeah, that was it, yeah.
No, look. Wa bona modimo ha o batla mo kreya. Tsamaye
Yeah.
dilo tse so. Shem. Ntate modimo, God is a living God.
Yeah, but the thing going after the problem going, can I lo panic? I'll tell you why I'm saying that
Why?
because there's a couple of things that I'm waiting where I've done everything that needs to be done. I'm just waiting for, I'll say, for a lack of a better word, like a contracts or orders and stuff. And I'm like, can this thing just land in my inbox? Like, can they just land in my inbox? That's where I am right now.
The easiest way to bring your vibration down is to feel like you're waiting, because that makes you start to question whether you are deserving.
Yeah.
Don't wait, do other stuff.
Okay. While that's happening, yeah.
Whilst that's been resolved,
Mm.
do other stuff, do make plans for your other things, because I see there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that you are working on.
Yeah, no, there
Make
is, there
plans.
is. Even today, I mean, it's Saturday, but Jesus, I was on the phone doing like, yeah, I was just, because the thing, I can't sit still. Like, I'm always on the next thing, What's coming next? What's coming next? What's coming next? What's coming? But maybe the problem, going maybe because of I've been disappointed so much. That thing is like a trauma, yeah. And you're like, oh, I hope this is not like, this is not what I've been through again, you know?
Modimo wa gago ha se setlaela. O a phela modimong.
Yeah.
Make plans. In between, enjoy your life. In between, do what you can. People that make money are people by law they work and have fun. Work, have
Yeah,
fun.
I'm exactly that. Yeah, like yeah. If there's one thing about me, yeah, I'll make time for myself. Yeah, I'll make
So,
time for myself.
God.
But at the same time, you're trying to like, it's like, hey, I need to settle down. Then on the other side, just like it's blurry. It's bloody blurry. You're like, what's going on? But I'm like, I'll take it as it comes. I guess. Yeah.
It's a surprise. It's a surprise. As soon as I'm done with that
It
bath
feels
and I
like it.
get all the
I've always
symptoms.
felt it like now that you say it's a surprise. It all my life it
Yeah.
just feels like with me it's just different. It's like it's not as straightforward as I think it's gonna be. I'm like, if it happens, it's probably gonna happen so quick where I'll probably be shocked myself.
And you wouldn't want it any other way, Mkulu.
Yeah.
I promise you, there are things in my life that I wanted so much control over, and now I'm like, I know,
Yeah.
guys. Now I'm like, it's a surprise, now I'm just floating, and it's nice. Don't ever feel like you need to wait for
Mm,
someone
mm,
else.
mm.
Keep yourself going, ground yourself, keep working on the things that you want to work with. When we say Mudimo Pilang, we don't realize it.
Yeah.
Mudimo Pilang is not a belief system or even faith. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. Recently, Kukwaka said to me, when we want to give you something, we align you in such a way that you're going to take all the necessary steps for
Yeah.
us to give it to you. And there's no way you doing something or you not doing something is going to stop it.
Mm, mm.
And for that reason, she said to me, that's why what you guys call gratitude, you guys don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
Because you guys think tshwantse le re rapele and le phaphathe matsogo and be grateful. No. Gratitude is to actually enjoy that thing that we gave you that was never going to be stopped. So waiting for it was a complete waste of your time, because time is moving, you're living.
Yeah.
So you being grateful for it is like you clasping onto it and saying, oh my God, I'm so grateful. And Kuku said, no, that's not gratitude. That is a twisted, a perverted version, right,
Yeah.
of who we think God is. Gratitude is you seeing how much what you got had no way of being brought to you, and it was brought to you, and that more and more and more of it will come.
Okay. Now that makes
So
perfect sense. But is it normal to sometimes feel like you want so many things? Like I just that's where I am. Like I'm like, okay, cool. I'm all right, you know. But at the same time, I feel like there's so many things that I know I deserve this. I know I should be living there. I know, I know previously when we spoke, you mentioned a couple of places in the north. I'm like, that's so me. But I'm like, is this normal, or maybe I'm just asking for too much?
no, you can never ask for too much.
Yeah.
The only thing is, the things that you want shouldn't overwhelm you
No,
when
there's
now you
not. Yeah,
start.
I know I deserve
Yeah.
them, and I know that's who I am. But sometimes you just feel like, am I being realistic? Are these things achievable now, or should I be a little bit patient? Like, I tend to ask myself like a whole lot of questions.
Think of it this way: you want so many things,
Yeah,
right? But you've got 80 plus years to live,
yeah, yeah.
and each year's got 365 days.
Of course, yeah,
Like, what is the probability of you not getting those things? All of them.
yeah. Hi, yeah,
Chances are you're gonna tick all your boxes.
yeah, yeah.
It's now a matter of timing. But the moment the timing means that you are idling, then you
Mm,
are waiting.
yeah,
Waiting means you are standing, doing nothing, waiting for that particular thing.
yeah.
That's idle time,
Idle. Yeah, you just
right?
asking. Yeah,
You're idling as something is coming.
yeah,
So if you are not idling and you are creating more and more and more and more and more things that you already have and things that you want, and you are thinking about the cruise ship. Somebody said, those are marine spirits, those are not God. Listen, it doesn't matter, right? The more you think about the cruise ship and you think about this are nice life problem things,
mm, mm,
then you're not waiting.
mm.
Then you're doing other
Other
things.
things.
Then
Yeah,
you're going back to that cruise ship. When I know, I started making my own bath salts and bath bombs and bath. Listen, it's actually busy this week.
yeah. Mm.
I smell like a fruit cocktail. Yadi fragrances,
Yeah.
and I'm not idling. It's
Yeah,
what I'm
you
doing
doing
now.
something. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, I know. I think I can easily say probably the last 5 years. Jesus, I've just been like, yeah, on my hustle mode. It's not even funny. Like I've just been pushing so hard. I'm like, if something something open up, like I know it's probably gonna be bigger than I thought, you know.
It is definitely going to open up from here on.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
part I can tell you for real.
yeah,
Like for real. And
yeah.
how do you know? How do you know? Is this not the first cruise ship you've been on?
This is the first one.
There you go.
Yeah, and it happened so all of a sudden because this thing they opened them like a year before, but a friend of mine he just called. I remember I was attending at a vet's business school. I was in a class and then I just walked out because we were attending the whole day, and I'm like, Jesus, I need to step out. So when I saw his phone call coming in while I'm in class, I'm like, let me just walk out. So this guy is like, hey, Poison, I just paid these guys. Can you send me your ID number? We're gonna share a cabin. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm coming, bro. He's like, well, I'm like, when is it? He's like, nah, no, in March. I'm like, I'm there, and that was it. I'm like, I just need to experience it, yeah.
There you go. That is your proof that your frequency has gone up. He could
Yeah.
have called any other person,
Yeah, easily. He could have chosen.
right?
Yeah,
It needed to be you.
yeah,
So what happened the last 5 years doesn't matter.
yeah,
What
yeah.
you have set in the foundation for what's happening now. Now
Now,
you've
yeah,
gone to Gugu's house, you are flying off, right?
yeah,
And your frequency. So don't think about what's happened the last 5 years, maybe with a bit of fear. And I understand. I know what you're saying, Ori. It's hard not to be a bit fearful about what happened.
yeah,
But
mm,
no, this is different. You are a cruise ship person now,
yeah, yeah.
right? So after this cruise ship, I promise you, I promise you,
You think
something's coming up.
my passport deserves like couple of tattoos, like couple of stamps now, like
Sheba, before May, I don't know what you're going to be doing, but I don't know if it's May, you're going to somebody's wedding where you need to buy a new outfit and
yeah,
it looks like a grand event. I don't know what this is. That's another thing. You want a wedding or an event, something, you want these sports cars, you're going to be just surrounded with luxury and beautiful
yeah,
things.
yeah.
Utabon.
Yeah, no, when you that's it, bro. Like yeah, with sports cars, that's the life, you know. Like that's I've always been around such things, you know. And not only I've been struggling or things have been like terrible. Like the thing with my people is they'll give me now. Like I remember like now when I think back, I'm like after driving like German cars when I was like 24. You know, it's like Fanyana, but like manage. But when I look back, I'm like, it kind of makes sense where they don't give you because otherwise those things they can kill you. Eh? Like when I look back, I'm like, I'm glad these things like they will come here and like hanya like manage is like for you to be mature to a certain level. That's what,
Yes,
and it only hit me this year. And when I look
yes,
back, like imagine if I had like no ways, there's no way you live beyond 30, not a chance.
exactly.
Yeah, not a
So it
chance.
was just so that you can be grounded. And from here on, go with
Yeah.
it. Go with
Someone
it.
up.
You're gonna have the best of everything.
Yeah. Now yeah. No, we'll keep pushing. And then somebody asking Munso guy. No man, Jesus, wait, who's this?
Hey, ebile ke lebetse ka bontsho ne ke batla o tsamaye mkhulu Dibe ke batla lo robala nna ka tlo robala I got work tomorrow.
No, hey, not now. But anyway, I think for now, Gogo, I think I'll just do the water situation thing. I'm glad that we are fine now. Hopefully, one of these days I'll come back with one hell of a testimony. Yeah.
Hey, le nna ke batla go utlwa taba ya Montsho next Wednesday, next
Ah,
Tuesday.
no. Hey, right now it's blurry. Like I can't even feedback properly. Like nah. Like I don't even have. I've got nothing to write home right now.
Okay, well,
Yes,
we can accept that. You're
yeah,
focusing on yourself.
yeah. Right now, literally, I'm super selfish. Like I just wanna get my house in order. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
all right, no. Best of
All
luck,
right.
and you won't need it. You won't need it. Ya ko
Nah,
metsing, I
I'll
just
do.
see you
I'll do
pina tsa
that. I mean,
Sepedi and
instead of
that,
building
yeah.
kayona, kayona. I've done it. Khoela, magogong gets it. Like I've done everything, and then kibuile, and then yeah, I was like, hey, let's see. Mara ke a bona yang or hey, I don't know. There's just a bit of different stuff, where I'm able to do things on my own. I don't need like the connect, and they are able to feedback. They are able to do that. I'm like, this is so different. But like you said, Qatar, I mean, like, I'll definitely visit it and then take it from there. And then yeah, let's see. I mean, it feels like it's gonna be a good year.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good year. And
Yeah.
when in doubt, call your granny and say to her, "Hi, please rapella what?" But your granny wa Laura, believe it or not. So
Yeah, she is. She's a very prayerful. I mean, I literally grew up under her wing, so I know when it comes to prayer and her instincts are just out of this world. Yeah, even in her old age. Yeah, her instincts are just ridiculous. Yeah.
oh, okay, Mkhulu, bye, bye,
All right.
bye,
Thank you
bye.
so much.
Next time or kolota the tea, look or you've made money. Okay, velo ka sa
Nah,
bolele ka tjhelete.
nigga is party. Like it's like nah, no, this is I know myself, man. Hey, I love finer things in life, guys. Hey, let Anfarello. Hey.
Okay, Mkhulu.
Maybe it seems like you cruising points is different things because you're like, yeah, Tontoso. You know?
Fine. Happy, that's life. You know, you meant to have everything that's beautiful, and rona re tlo go bolelela what we see
Yeah,
right
no, of
now.
course. Yeah, and I
You
understand.
know,
Yeah, right now, yeah. But I'm like, wait. No, no, no. I know my stuff. I know exactly what I want. If there was one thing about me, in Turkey, but I get more dealership at Ikolo. You know what? And I'm gonna come out with it. You know, I'm that guy. Like, if something, I know. Okay, this is mine. You know.
I like it. I love it. I love it. I love it for you. Man must be
Yeah,
boss.
yeah,
Man must be boss. Man must
yeah.
have ownership over his life and have the most beautiful version of what he thinks a woman is. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just that, yeah, I think one thing, yeah, if there's one thing I'll do is I'll always hide, like, where I'm one person where if one of my friends invite me somewhere and then people don't know me, when I get there, they're like, where have you been hiding? I'm like, that's how I love my life. No one should ever know about me. I must just be that element of surprise everywhere I go. But anyway, all good. Thank you so much.
That's how you know you're gonna be rich.
Yeah. No one
Rich
should.
is always very private.
Yeah.
Rich is
Yeah.
very to themselves. But demure, but rich.
Yeah.
Yaba.
Very much, yeah. Wherever he's like, this chicks will be like, hey, where you be? Welcome. I'm like, you'll never know me. Nope. I'll always be an element of surprise. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Nkulu. Have a great one.
All right.
Bye
Sharp, sharp.
bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know. How do I
Yo.
leave this?
I'll exit for you. Ai mantshutla ikutlwa. Wetse keng re lekile le rona. Re lekile. Have a great night all. See you guys hopefully on Tuesday. I hope I'm going to have the strength. So tired. Hi, Mkhulu, re lekile go mo buella. O itse keng? Re paletse. Have a great night. Robalang sentle le nama sleep. I got an early day tomorrow. Gotta work. Hey, phezu kwamandla ethu. Wait, this is phezu kwamandla ethu. This one we can't. Love and light. I'm gonna post this hopefully tonight. I'm gonna post this hopefully tonight. Love and light to you guys. Be blessed. Be comforted. Le rapeleng. Modimo a phele, o tlo le thusa. Amen.